growth of an organization is defined by how it cultivates its next generation. The acquisition and development of young talent breathes life. For the Rangers in athletics, the return on investment is displaying its hallmark.
Oh, look at that stretch. Good gracious.
The results captivate the mind and tease the imagination. Tonight, under a Texas sky, baseball offers a glimpse of the future of the game.
Rangers baseball is presented by Shiner's Sea Salt and Lime Summer Lager. Well, another warm one tonight here at Globe Life Park. Not too bad, though. Temperatures under 100 degrees. Rangers and A's in the first game of what will be a long 4-game series. Welcome in, everybody. Great to be with you once again tonight. I am Dave Raymond alongside the former Rangers southpaw C.J. Nitkowski. Rangers and A's. Rangers have actually had a winning record this year against the Oakland A's. In division, very important, of course. And the last time they got together, it's been a while now, about 6 weeks, Rangers were really good against them.
They were, and that matters. Head-to-head competition, it happens so often with the heavy interdivisional schedule. And so for the Rangers to kind of leave an impression on the A's last time they met is certainly a good thing. And the A's pitchers remember that. They remember the fact that the Texas Rangers scored 15 runs in that 2-game series. 9 home runs as well. So they were hitting the long ball, and the Rangers certainly would like to do a little bit more of that in this series. A 4-game series now, so a lot more at-bats coming. And as you mentioned, right now the A's are playing some pretty good baseball. So for these Rangers hitters, you see the damage that they did in that last series. A repeat over a 4-game would be nice.
Okay, now the A's fancy themselves in the wild card race right now. We still have a long way to go in this thing, so very big games for them. About a week after that series, they got real hot, and they are right now a team to contend with.
They are, and they're a team that is added at the trading deadline, which is something that wasn't necessarily expected. But you go back to June 16th, you're going to get a look at what this offense has done, and there have been a couple of guys that have really stuck out. The record has been fantastic, best in Major League Baseball at 23-7, but it's the 44 home runs, the 5.2 runs per game. Jed Lowry's got 20 RBIs over that time. Steven Piscotty has really woken up. He has slugged .604 since June 16th, 8 home runs, 11 doubles as well. And so a couple of hot bats, also including Matt Olson, who we've seen a lot of, 7 home runs over that time.
They can swing it a little bit. Their bullpen has been outstanding. We'll see about their starting pitching, and specifically we'll see how they handle Rougned Odor, because he has been one of the oddest players in baseball. Big award handed out to Rougned today, and for that, we'll put him in the spotlight when we come back.
Rangers baseball is sponsored by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Ford is the best in Texas. By Shiner's Sea Salt and Lime Summer Lager. And by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Well, warm one tonight, ready for some baseball. The A's and Rangers in division tonight. Oh, lovely Monday night as we get ready for game one. And as we teased going to break, our Shiner sea salt and lime spotlight has Rougned Odor squarely in the middle.
And he deserves to be there. You see what he's done, 8 for 13 over his last 3 games. And it's been fun to watch Rougned and what he has done here lately. Slow start to the season for him, and he was making some adjustments and really going all the way back to spring training. And it's really all starting to come together. He's hitting lefties really well, which has been an encouraging sign for Rougned Odor, but also showing a little bit of power lately, which has been good, hitting the ball the other way. Those fun hits, we talked about that a lot this year. So things have been very, very good here lately for Rougned Odor. And for a little bit more on the Rangers' second baseman, let's throw it down to Emily Jones.
Yeah, Rougned all smiles today as he found out he was named the American League Player of the Week for his efforts over the last few days. It was a short week, of course, because of the All-Star break, but the timing could not have come at a better time for Rougned Odor because of the way he started the season. Really was at a low point a couple of months ago, and to bounce back the way that he has and then to win this award for the 3rd time in his career made it extra special this time around because he really did have a gut check with himself, had to really look at himself in the mirror and wanted to get back to the basics, get back to what made him the player that got to the big leagues at a very early age, the one that the Rangers made a franchise player and gave a big contract to. So he's starting to see that potential and the results from all that hard work now playing out on the field.
Well, it was pretty cool, and obviously just a fantastic series for Rougned, and hopefully that springboards him into a great second half. The Rangers and A's, we take a look at Oakland's starting lineup today. Marcus Semien leading it off at shortstop. Chad Pinder in left, Lowry at second base. It's Davis, Olson, and Piscotty in the middle. Chapman, Canna, and Lucroy rounding it out. And Cole Hamels gets us started with strike 1 tonight. Cole, 5 wins, 8 losses this year, a 4.36 ERA. This is a little high with a fastball, and our game time temperature today just 99 degrees, so it has cooled off.
You know, it's been a hot summer when you say things like just 99 degrees.
Pumpy tonight.
Yesterday was 102, right? First pitch.
Yep.
108, final pitch.
Yeah,
it wasn't
like
102 very long.
No, it was not. You're right. In fact, even right before the first pitch, it bumped up a couple of degrees in a very short period of time. 1-2 pitch, and Semien strikes out swinging, and that's how we start game 1 of this series.
Let's take a look at our arsenal here for Cole Hamels, which is brought to you by Shiner Sea Salt and Lime Summer Lager. You just saw the cutter right there. That's how he finished Marcus Semien off. 27% of the time for Cole Hamels. It's the 4-seam, the changeup, the 2-seam fastball, the curveball as well. That full 5-pitch mix for the Rangers lefty.
Well, here is Hamels' nemesis, Chad Pinder. And this has been some kind of head-to-head. Pinder 7 for 8 against Cole Hamels with 3 home runs. And it takes in, it's 1-1.
So my favorite part of that, you know, when a guy's got your number, when he's swinging the bat well off you, when he's hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And when Cole Hamels finally struck out Pinder, I guess it might have been in May, he went double fist above the air. He was super excited, even though it was a strikeout that at the moment wasn't anything special, but it was special to him, and almost a little bit of a, I don't want to say a tip of the cap to himself, but kind of like, how finally, man, I finally got this guy out. We never see Cole Hamels put his hands in the air after a strikeout, but he did after striking out Pinder.
Pinder's been great against the Rangers as he watches a ball 2-2 the count. Last year, great utility player in his rookie season, hit 15 home runs, drove in 42. And a little better this year. That one came in and got him on the foot, or at least it looked like it did. Yeah, it got him.
So this is what we were talking about, and how it's been a really good run here for Chad Pinder against Cole Hamels, just getting some comfortable swings and little big home runs out to center field, and he takes him out to left field as well. And Cole Hamels knows it. You see him shaking his head and saying, what do I got to do to get this guy out? But then when you do, All right, I guess
awesome.
I exaggerated. It wasn't above his head, but just a scream to the heavens as if to say thank you, finally.
Bouncer third. Diving stop Profar, and from his knees throws out Jed Lowry for the second out of the inning. What a play by Profar down at third.
Well, Jurickson Profar has turned into a utility player here for the Rangers. With everybody healthy, gives guys days off. That means he bounces around the entire infield, and here he makes a nice reactionary play and a great throw from his knees. We know Jurickson has struggled a little bit at times with his throws, but what a great reaction. Didn't have time to think about it. Didn't have time to get up. Threw from his knee, and that's a really strong throw from Profar. Tremendous play.
Just 2 days ago was playing first base. It's now Chris Davis. Hits one high in the air. But not going to go for him. DeShields able to get to it. Inning over, an 11 pitch. First inning for Cole Hamels. So very sharp out of the gates. Now the Rangers coming to bat. Cole Hamels. And now Brett Anderson will go to work against the Rangers. Our Southwest Airlines starting lineup. Shin-Soo Choo leads it off in right field. Odor at second. Andrus at shortstop. Then in the middle things, Beltre's the DH tonight. Profar, great play at third, will bat fifth. And Ryan Rua in left field. Then it's Chirinos, Guzman, and Delano DeShields rounding it out. So Choo, fourth best on base average in the league at 400, takes a strike from Brett Anderson. 288 overall this year, but with 18 home runs. And a great season offensively for Choo. And easily the most time he has spent as a DH. It has really been the focus this season for him. And I'm not going to say that he fought it, but you know, he's always maintained he would much rather be in the field playing. But I think he's finally gotten pretty comfortable with this.
Yeah, he's certainly shown us that he's comfortable based on the quality of the at-bats that he has put together. I mean, that's the big thing you look for. Some guys really struggle in the DH spot, and they always talk about like they don't feel like they're in the flow of the game, especially if they haven't done it. And I think they also get a little bit nervous in wondering what might be and how those at-bats will go. But it really has been a pretty seamless transition for Choo.
Ooh, fouls that one sharply off his right foot. Count stays 1-2.
And it's not that he hasn't DH before. He has, but it's just a matter of the frequency in which he's kind of been expected to DH over the last couple of years. As we take a look at that, and caught him right, looked like on the inside part of his heel.
Anderson's 1-2, and it's off the plate. So Brett Anderson, big start for him, an important one for him. Just his 7th of the season, 1 win, 2 losses. The ERA is over 6 for Anderson. In fact, opposing hitters hitting 356 off him, and he misses outside. Make it a full count.
It's a good take by Chu. Anderson wanted that call. You see the reaction. He felt like he put that on the outside corner, but Kerwin Danley said, no, that is off.
Another good at bat for Chu. This will be the 7th pitch. Oh, that one got him. And so he is on to start the bottom of the 1st inning. Not the way he wanted to get there, but Chu aboard.
Take a look. I want to make sure this definitely get him, or was the ball fall? There's a good look at 2-seam fastball grip. So that means it's going to run in, and oh yeah, that got him really good in that right tricep. For a left-hander, when they throw the 2-seam fastball, because it's going to run, right? A 2-seamer runs arm side. You really want to start the ball middle, and you want it to come back in and catch the inside corner. He started that ball in off the plate, and it just kept going and going, and got Chu right on that right arm.
So the Rangers with a base runner. And Anderson, he invested a lot in the at-bat only to lose Chu. Now contends with the hottest Ranger there is, Rougned Odor. Rougie, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the American League Player of the Week. Went 8 for 13 in that series against Cleveland. Stole 3 bases. Showed the power again. In fact, a little 4-game hitting streak now for Rougie, dating back to the final game in Baltimore before the All-Star break. Shows bunt and drops it foul.
And see one of those in a while. And talk about Rougned Odor. We talk about the batting average, and this has been great to see. Last season compared to this season, as far as the leaders, when you look at the increase in batting average, some big names there. Mookie Betts, Manny Machado, and now Rougned Odor. 55 points added to that average. And when you start digging in even a little bit more for him, on breaking balls last year, he hit 180. This year he's hitting 250. He's picked up the batting average by 70 points on off-speed pitches. There's not all off-speed, excuse me, just breaking pitches. Curveballs and sliders.
Well, and you saw the big difference there in the average from last year to this year, and it's such a huge improvement. But it was a slow start. I mean, you know, it's not like he's been hitting 259 all year, and part of that is right now. You go back to June 10th, he's hitting 315 since June 10th. You start comparing that to last year, and that is a massive increase, even greater than the one he has already posted. 5 homers in his last 25 games, and that is after hitting just 1 home run in the first 45 games. And of course, some of that was broken up by his stint on the disabled list. Fouls this one back toward us. Stays 0-2. But a steady progression for Rougie. June, great improvement over the previous 2 months, but boy, July has been otherworldly.
It's good to see. He's been a great example that you can make adjustments during the season. You believe in something and how you want to get to your goals, and to just continue to work at it. It's so hard to be patient in this game because you want results right away. Fans want results right away. It's easy to get impatient. But he's stuck with it. It's all starting to pay off now. Doesn't mean he's going to hit, you know, 320 the rest of the year. Of course, every big leaguer goes through some lows, but right now it's working out very well for Odor.
So probably closer to 340.
Yeah, at 320, you know, don't cut him short.
Well, 0-2. He continues to lock horns here with Anderson. And so Anderson has already invested, what, 13 pitches here in the first 2 batters. He hit Chu and can't seem to put away Odor. This will be the 7th pitch of this at bat. Anderson, the left-hander, 6'4", 230. 30 years old. Born in Midland, Texas. This one bounced on the ground right side. Lowry with a charge and a quick flip just in time to get Odor 1 away.
Take a look at the pitch arsenal for Brett Anderson, which is brought to you by Shiner. Sea salt and lime summer lager. Slider 31% of the time. The 2-seam and the 4-seam fastball are in there for the left-hander. Changeup will be at around 12%, or has been this season, and the curveball at 10%. And across the board, he has really struggled. The batting averages against the pitches. You mentioned the high batting average to begin with. 417 on the curveballs, 500 on 4-seam fastballs. The only one that's been pretty good, the slider, just a 226 batting average against. And not surprisingly, that's the pitch he throws the most.
Andrus attacks a ball up in the zone. This one's not going to carry deep enough for him. Went to the deepest part of the yard, and Canna hauls it in for the second out of the inning. Chu advances to third base, and Elvis just missed that one.
Well, tonight the A's defense is sponsored by Jack in the Box. It's Pinder, Canna, and Piscotti in the outfield for Oakland, and in their infield, take a look at Matt Chapman, Marcus Semien, Jed Lowry, and Matt Olson, with former Ranger Jonathan Lucroy behind the plate.
I saw Jonathan this afternoon. He seemed, I won't say surprised, a little irked by the heat. I think he's gotten used to that Bay Area weather.
Well, any catcher, I think, would be irked by the heat,
yeah,
especially when you come rolling in for a 4-game series. I got a quick question for you. So you and I have talked about how the 1-out bunt attempt for a hit will sometimes be a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I think we both disagree. We know the hitter's bunting for a hit. What about that play right there? Man on second. You know Elvis is obviously, it's not a sac fly, but to me it's the same situation. You're moving a runner up even though you're unintentionally doing it with 1 out. Wasn't ever the plan. Why does that bunt for a hit count as a sacrifice and then no at bat, but that fly ball right there doesn't count as a sacrifice? I feel like there's some contradiction there.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I guess what I'd want to know is, are you advocating for that last fly ball?
No, of course not.
Okay, you're just still angry.
Yeah, I'm just using that as my evidence. I'm bringing that to court. Basically precedent. So that's how you do it in law, right? You got to have some precedent.
That's right.
Bring the precedent and say, listen, this is how everything else works. Why is this so different?
I feel like that the whole bunt for a hit, but then go ahead and just take the sacrifice, you know, if you're out. Yeah, on an out. I feel like that's sort of been a very recent, and very modern sort of tendency. I think in the past, official scores were a little more strict about that, but anymore they're like, oh, okay, whatever, we'll just call it a sacrifice. They're all, you know what, they're all sacrifices unless they get a hit.
Yeah,
and then it's a hit.
I mean, that will help with MLB's batting average problem.
Well, there you go. Well, swing and a miss. Beltre tied up by Brett Anderson. So the Rangers can't do anything with the leadoff man aboard. We'll go to the second inning. No score.
Again, we'll take a look at the Rangers defense this evening, which is delivered to you by the Texas Department of Transportation. Ryan Rua getting a start in left, Delano DeShields in center, and Shin Soo Chu is in right field tonight. Jurickson Profar, Elvis Andrus, Rougned, Odor, and Ronald Guzman in the infield, with Robinson Chirinos catching Cole Hamels.
Well, Hamels was really good there in the first inning. That's how he looks here in inning number 2 as he goes after Matt Olson. Olson, the only left-handed hitter in the lineup today. .237 average and 21 home runs.
So it's always interesting to me, and obviously we know teams do their homework and they put a lot of time into matchups and everything else. But Cole Hamels this year, and he has been unbelievable against lefties over the course of his career. But this year, the batting average is a little bit higher. .283 for Cole against lefties. He's only allowed 1 home run to lefties, and that has been a rarity for him throughout his career. 20 home runs to righties this year. But the overall batting average is more than 20 points lower against righties this season at .246. And part of that for me, I think, is the use of the cutter. A lot more cutters for him this year. That's a really tough pitch against right-handed hitters.
When he loses the lefty, Matt Olson, and now Stephen Piscotty. Our Kubota power stats for Cole Hamels. How about this? This is pretty cool. Only left-handed pitcher in baseball history with 2,300 strikeouts and less than 700 walks. Of course, we put that up right after he walked Olson, but
pre-jinx.
But that's pretty cool.
He's always been a guy that has filled up the strike zone. You see how frustrated he gets. He's such a competitor inside the line, such a different guy, and I like that about his personality, where ultra competitive, gets very upset if he gets behind or walks guys. When he's not pitching, very steady Eddie in the personality, right? Not a lot of highs and lows, and he's a different kind of Cole come game time. But the walks are such a point of pride for him, and it's been an area in which he has been so good. That's impressive to think about this game's history. We've seen some great left-handers. It's been an unbelievable strikeout to walk ratio for him. 2.5 walks per 9 over the course of his career.
He gets ahead of ball on 2 strikes on Piscotty. Hamels has not run out his best stuff his last couple of starts. July has not been a real good month for him. The ERA at 10.5 in his previous 3 starts. So really looking for a bounce back start of sorts here. The 1-2 pitch lofted out there to center field, playable for Delano, and that is out number 1. Hamels also, well, I was just saying, Hamels also, the subject of a lot of trade speculation and rumor, and that question continues to come up on a daily basis for Jeff Bannister. How's he handling it, etc. And right as we were going on the air, and I mean just moments before we were going on the air, a report comes out about the Washington Nationals and the Rangers having some conversations about Cole Hamels. That's all we know, and it's all from a couple of stories out there right now on the internet. But those rumors will continue to swirl and only heat up here in the next handful of days.
Well, I think you're going to even hear some more teams probably interested in getting their hands on Cole Hamels. Was it the lefty from the Brewers that just went down, torn UCL? I should know. I forgot who it was now. But that's a team that certainly, they're a good starting staff. They've been good, but they don't really have a true ace.
Oh, what a play up the middle by Odor, and they do not get the out at second base. Elvis saying, let's take a look at this one. Knows currently as a base hit, if indeed the out holds. Odor, great job to get to that ball.
Such a tough throw. You see him trying to make that throw on the angle. I tell you what, though, this one looked pretty close. As you see the bare hand, just a matter of when did Elvis get this. He got it clean.
Oh.
Let's see what the Rangers decide to do. They're still undecided up to this point. This is going to be a good look right here. Oh, they are going to challenge it.
Yeah, I think they're going to challenge it, and I think this is going to end up being a fielder's choice. Because
I hope so.
I think Olson's out here.
I'm worried about, this might give you a better look. Oh, I think he's out. I just wonder if it's clear and convincing, right? That's the one I worry about.
I am convinced.
Now, you know what's funny, right? So with the glove, You know, the ball does not have to hit the back of the glove. It has to get in the cylinder, right? Does that count for the hand? Does it have to get in the cylinder of the hand? Because if that's the case, he's definitely out.
I mean, that looked like it was in his hand, and you could see, and that last freeze frame, you could see the tiniest sliver of dirt between the foot and the bag. The nice thing is it with the A's wearing those white cleats.
Yeah, get it. Yeah.
Then you get a really distinct look. So it's interesting. We'll see what they say in New York.
Such a tough throw. We've talked a lot about the great work that Rougned Odor has done defensively here lately. Hopefully there's enough here where they convince it. Check out, I mean, Matt Olson is, I think he's even unsure. I think across the board, I think everyone's like, this could go either way, which always worries me, right, about the call.
Well, and the longer these reviews take, the more you're inclined to think that it's going to go with what was on the field. And the call on the field was that he was safe, and they would have 2 men on, nobody out. That's a big, I mean, it's a big, big call.
By the way, it's Brent Suter, starting pitcher for the Brewers, who was out for the season now.
Okay, so
I think that, to me, means a phone call could be coming the Rangers' way.
this is our first Ford challenge, and quite clearly challenging one for the folks back in New York. Ted Barrett on the right, our crew chief. Crew chief always has the good fortune of getting to go over and listen to that conversation. They hand the headphones back to Pete Falcone, and the play will stand, or the call will stand. So everybody's safe. An infield hit for Piscotty.
That was close. You know what? It's a good use of the challenge, even when you don't win it. I think the amount of time that was taken there confirms that it was a good idea. Give those umpires an opportunity. They weren't quite sure, and they had to look at it quite a few times before they came to that conclusion.
So Chapman now, and he takes a strike. Matt Chapman, the third baseman, .256 average, 10 homers.
Mark Canha.
Pardon me, Canha. Chapman's at first. Anywho, Canha, .253 average with 12 homers.
But don't you think with that news breaking today, for the Brewers are already kind of borderline, I think, of wanting a starter or needing a starter. There's been a lot of conversation about them, and I think there's a pretty good chance now as teams are starting to look around. Some big deals going down early, right? That's been kind of interesting. Bigger names getting moved early.
Ooh.
I think the other part of that with Cole Hamels, Jeff Bannister addressed it today. You know, hey, is it a distraction? Somebody asked, one of the writers asked him today. And you know, I think Cole's been through it before, and so he is kind of used to it. But at the same time, you know, Banny brought up the fact that it's not about, is it going to affect your performance, or you nervous or whatever. Cole has some control because he can limit which teams he can be traded to. He's got some say in it. But he said, you know, the thing that weighs on players more often than not is, what does it mean for your family? And that's, you know, your wife's asking those questions. I'm hearing this. Like maybe or you might be going here. Do we want to live there? Are we interested in living there the rest of this year and next season as well, with Cole under control for one more year? That all comes into play, and those are legitimate concerns for players. It's not just about, people say, like, why wouldn't you say yes every single time to accept a trade to go to a contender? Because it's not just about that.
Line drive out to right field. Base hit for Canha. And they will stop Olson at third base. Well, they are loaded up here with one out.
Batting ninth, the catcher, number 21, Jonathan.
Even though Chu doesn't play a ton of right field, good look at the four-seam fastball grip, and a good at-bat by Mark Canha as he takes his ball the other way pretty firmly. But I was going to say, even though Chu doesn't play a lot of the outfield, his throws have been pretty accurate this year, and I think there's still some respect for that. In that situation, A's did not feel comfortable trying to get aggressive and take that run. We were talking about the Cleveland series and how aggressive they were on the bases and putting some pressure on the Ranger defense.
Well, now Jonathan Lucroy, the former Ranger. He takes one high. So Olsen at third base started the inning by drawing the walk. One out later, Chapman reached on that infield hit that was replayed, and Marcana at first base after the single to right. Hayes all over the place. They have been playing great baseball, the Oakland A's. 1-1 on Lucroy.
It's always interesting when you face your former catcher. Cole Hamels has been around for a while, so he certainly has done that before. You always feel like they're one up on you, regardless of what kind of hitter they are. Even if they're not a very good hitter, they've seen every trick you have. They know your tendencies. That's in the back of your mind. Then you can really start to outthink yourself. So I'm going to do something I never, ever do that he's never seen. 2 changeups to start in that bat or whatever it may be. Then you get yourself in all kinds of trouble. And I think what Cole Hamels knows about Jonathan Lucroy is that he's a tough guy to strike out, puts the ball in play pretty well with 2 strikes, but tries to play Pepper almost with the right side of the field, right? He'll try to, we saw that a lot. Some soft ground balls and soft line drives to the right side. Cole's certainly aware of that.
Ooh, this ball driven out towards center field. DeShields on his horse back near the wall, and that's gone. Just got over the fence, and a grand slam for Lucroy puts Oakland in front 4-0.
Just the second home run of the season for Jonathan Lucroy, who has not shown a lot of power over the last couple of years, but that is his 4th career grand slam. When I mentioned facing your former catcher, now this pitch came back over the plate. They were trying to go backdoor down and away with that cutter, but instead it finished middle, and Lucroy, who doesn't pull the ball for power very often or even to the middle of the field, did so right there.
Now Lucroy with a very big swing of the bat. 408 feet on the home run. And clears the bases, but top of the order, Marcus Semien, who struck out in the first inning, ahead here 2-0. Hamels had a little trouble getting in that strike zone consistently. More balls than strikes thrown so far.
His 3rd grand slam that the Rangers have allowed this season. They've actually been very good against opposing hitters with the bases loaded. They came into tonight allowing just a .221 batting average against in those spots.
Semien takes a high strike, and it's a full count. '25th pitch of the inning for Hamels, and it's a little tall. So he walks Semien, and the lefty getting himself in a little bit of trouble here in this 2nd inning, because now he has to look at Chad Pinder. We mentioned earlier the damage that Pinder has done against Cole Hamels. Hamels plunked him last time, although he had 2 strikes on him at the time. And Cole has hit the most batters of any pitcher in the American League. He has put 12 runners on the hit by pitch.
And a lot of times it's been against those righties. We saw that first hit by pitch to Pinder was just a breaking ball that got away, rode on him a little bit too much. Seen a few of those this season.
This one up the middle and into center field, base hit, stopping at second Semien. So 2 men on, and still only the 1 out.
Second baseman Jen Howard.
Take a look at this pitch here. Looked like might have been the cutter, didn't get in quite far enough. Pinder continues to take comfortable at bats against Cole Hamels.
So a mound visit here. Doug Brocale and Robinson Chirinos taking a moment. This will be the 8th batter of the inning. Not the way that Hamels wanted this one to start. He looked very good in the first inning. Boy, that call at second base a little earlier in the inning, which could have been the second out of the inning, instead was held up as an infield hit. That is probably had some pretty dramatic effect on this thing as well. And now Lowry takes ball one. Lowry grounded out of the first inning. He's been a great hitter in all of his career. Switch hitter with power, 16 home runs. Numbers are good for Lowry this year, but even better on the road, hitting .309 away from the Coliseum. 1-1.
And even splits too for Jed Lowry. That's something you always kind of take into consideration when you have those switch hitters, and which way would you want to turn him around later in the game. That's certainly something that Jeff Bannister will think about. But 281 against lefties, 278 against righties this year, so the batting average has been near equal.
2-1. Our Southwest Airlines bullpen live look. Matt Moore starting to get loose out there. Hamels in a little trouble. That was 30 pitches this inning alone. The last offering to Lowry.
You saw that last cutter from Cole Hamels, how far it rode into Lowry. That's a good example of those ones that'll get away from him every once in a while for a hit by pitch. That's a nice looking fastball down and away.
Kerwin Danley grants time, and everybody will back away for a moment. Simeon at second, Pinder at first. And Lowry just gets a piece of it.
That's the frustrating part. You have an inning like this, a couple things not quite going your way. You get 2-2 on a 3-hole hitter. You make your pitch. It was a good one, and then he fouls it off. It just seems like that happens when you get into a long inning and nothing is going right. You bear down, you hit your spot, and the hitter ends up spoiling that pitch. You got to come back and try to do it again.
Indeed, here is the 2-2, and it bounces up there. Hamels has had good success against Lowry in his career. Lowry just 2 for 13 against him. Coming into play, grounded out earlier. So a guy who he would have some confidence facing. Boy, does he need an outright here. Even better, he would love a ground ball. Lowry doesn't run particularly well, but he is pretty adept at staying out of double plays. 3-2. This one in the air out to right field, and Chu tracks it down. 2 away. So it takes care of Lowry again. And so you breathe a sigh of relief, and then you look into the batter's box and you realize, oh, Chris Davis.
Especially against the Rangers, right? He's been so good against Texas, and just a tough out. 838 OPS on the season. 23 home runs. This guy can slug. He's got pop. Kind of surprising. Hitting just 183 against lefties this year. That tells you that he's probably pulling off a lot of pitches. Fastball changeup away. There's a breaking ball away. And that's without even looking at the data. You can look at the data and get a better feel for it as you see those numbers mentioned against the Texas Rangers and how good he has been. But when you see those kinds of splits, Cole Hamels has done his homework. You start looking, okay, what has he done against lefties? What's been the problem? Or more importantly, where can I go? What's the spot? And it really has been a struggle for him. How about this? Cutters. Cole throws a lot of cutters. Chris Davis against a left-handed cutter this year is hitting just 111. So he's going to cut him up in a little bit and then probably try to work him away. He struggled on changeups as well this season from lefties.
This ball hit hard. Out to left field, and that one over the head of Ryan Rua. Simeon scores. Pinder stops at third. But Oakland now leads 5-0, and a long inning gets longer for Cole Hamels. Chris Davis with his 21st double of the year. Boy, that's a tough spot right here for Jeff Bannister and Doug Brocail. Good news for them. They have the veteran out there who has been through some battles, but 37 pitches in an inning, and that's where you start worrying about not the game per se, but the inning itself, getting so far away from a guy that you have to take him out. First pitch swinging though. Olsen rolls one over to Odor, and that ends the inning mercifully for Cole Hamels. He allows 5 runs, and the A's jump out to the big early lead. Opens it up early. Well, we'll turn our attention to Sunday, August 5th. Rangers and Orioles, a 2:05 game. And country music group Lone Star is going to perform a post-game concert presented by Budweiser. Tickets and how to watch the concert from the field, all that available at TexasRangers.com/concerts. So Brett Anderson now with quite the cushion to work with here in the second inning. And his first pitch to Profar misses for a ball. It'll be Profar, Ryan Rua, and Robinson Chirinos.
And some welcomed run support for Brett Anderson. It's been a little bit of a struggle, just 2.7 runs per game for him this season. Now he has missed some time and hasn't pitched particularly well with an ERA up over 6, but he hasn't gotten much run support either.
Taking a rather long look in. And finds the top of the strike zone there for strike 2 on Profar.
I'm surprised to see this. Doing a little research on Brett Anderson. Really good pace for him. 21.7. That's above league average. But then looking at his career, he's always been under 20, which is, you know, Bartolo-esque. You don't see too many guys that work that quickly. And basically that's just a measurement of time taken in between pitches. They do this over the course of an entire at bat, take the number of pitches and divide it accordingly, and you come up with this number to give you an idea who works fast, who works slow. He's been really good. That guy right there, we love watching him pitch. He's always working quickly and always throwing strikes.
This one hit right back up the middle, and that's a single for Jurickson Profar. So the Rangers had their first hit of the night. Well, would that be something if they could find a way to answer the 5 runs they just gave up in the top of the second?
Let's see a little breaking ball here that stays up in the zone. Good job by Jurickson as he smacks that ball right back up the middle. The good high leg kick, but good balance, right? Anytime you're going to have a high leg kick, it's important. You don't drift forward. You're able to still balance. He gets the foot down. Beautifully drills that ball right back up the box. I agree. You'd love all 5 runs, but even 1 or 2 across the board to try to kind of change the momentum here would certainly help.
Well, a hot swinging Ryan Rua takes in the dirt. Rua 195 with 6 home runs. You're saying hot hitting. What? Well, Rua, his playing time has been so sporadic of late, but since he was called up most recently on June 26th, he has 4 home runs in 32 at bats. This is just his 10th start during that stretch. He's done it in the pinch quite a bit, and then in those relatively few starts, he's had some pretty good games.
Yeah, it's been good to see. He deserves it. A lot of up and down this year. It's always difficult to get in a groove, but it's good to see him swinging a good bat and get himself a start here against the lefty. Of course, with Willie Calhoun getting called up, he's gotten a couple of starts in left field, but with the left-handed pitcher Anderson, Jeff Bannister is giving Ryan Rua the start, something that he has earned because of how well he has swung the bat lately.
Anderson's 1-1, and it's fouled away. And it's worth mentioning too, Joey Gallo given the day today. This was yesterday. But Gallo sprained his ankle in yesterday's game and had to leave the contest. He's okay. Jeff Bannister did not seem to have much concern about Joey, but as you mentioned, the matchup with the left-hander, etc., it made plenty of sense to give Joey tonight to rest that thing and get Rua in there as a right-handed hitter. Man sitting next to Gallo, Nomar Mazara, still ailing from that sprained thumb. So a couple of big bats banged up a little bit right now. Rua hits it sharply into left field, base hit. And he continues his strong ways at the plate.
Batting second, the catcher, number 61, Robinson Chirinos.
I really like Ryan Rua's swing, and obviously he's going well right now, so everything's locked in, but he's got a pretty level swing, hits this ball hard. Good job of keeping the hands in right there. You see the right arm close to the body. See that ball snaking right there? I've talked about that before in this outfield. You got to keep the grass short this time of year. You can assume nothing, though, as an outfielder. Any ground ball, especially a hard hit one, will have a little bit of that snaking action to it. It doesn't just roll in a straight line to the outfielder.
Chirinos takes one right in there for a strike. Average of 209, but 12 home runs for Robinson. He managed to stay out of the heat in yesterday's game. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa had the start in the sunshine yesterday. So Chirinos well rested, well hydrated ostensibly. Temperatures today, game time temperature was 99. It's dropped even further here now to 97. Well, IKF came through it no worse the wear yesterday. High pop up back behind home plate, and that one bounces around a little bit. Souvenir, and count 0-2 on Chirinos. So Chirinos last couple of weeks, 276 average, 4 home runs, a lot of extra base power for him. There's the 0-2 inside.
Brett Anderson has had a couple of those breaking balls that have finish near the feet of a couple of these right-handed hitters who in the Ranger lineup. I mentioned Cole Hamels, how it's been an issue a couple of times here, and your first reaction is to get out of the way. But had Robbie stayed there, that certainly would have been a hit by pitch. You never think that way, right? Oh, you're down on the count, you got a couple of strikes, 0-2, 1-2, should you let it hit you? You know, the reactions are just innate. You get out of the way. Brett Anderson's been close on a couple of right-handed Rangers tonight.
Chirinos strikes out, second strikeout tonight for Brett Anderson.
Batting the first baseman, number 67, Rougned.
You were talking about Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Who he got to catch yesterday was Giovanni Gallardo. He was excellent in his start for the Rangers. Nice job here fielding his position. We know he is a contact pitcher, and so that means the defense is going to have to come out and play, and they did, and he did it against a very good Cleveland Indians ball club, a solid lineup, and one that has been very difficult on the Rangers this year. Gallardo threw 6 shutout innings. He did allow 4 walks, but zeros are zeros and no runs across the board against the Indians, who are very easily leading the American League Central.
Guzman, did he go?
He did.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to see another one of those. I'm not so sure. I'm with you, Manny. I don't.
Ask Dave and you shall receive. There's your side look. Did he offer? Ooh, I'd say no.
Very close. Closer than I thought. 0-2 pitch. And a swing and a foul tip. So Guzman keeps the at-bat going.
It's good to see that Banny will give Guzman a start against lefties, and of course Nomar Mazara is down and giving Joey Gallo an extra day, but he's earned this. He's been really good. He's put quality at bats together against left-handed pitching. The overall average this year is 300 against lefties, 235 against the righties. But just the approach, you can see why. We've talked a lot about his ability to hit the ball the other way. That really comes into play against left-handed pitching.
Chopper up the middle. Simeon will race to the bag, throw on to first, and that completes a double play. 6-3, and the inning is done. Rangers got a couple of hits, but nothing doing. We go to the third inning, 5-0. We head to the third. Stephen Piscotty will lead things off for Oakland, our TXU Energy power player to watch. Last 14 games, he's been very good. 300 average with the 5 home runs. So he's been hitting for a lot of power for Oakland. And Oakland, why, they are playing as well as anybody in baseball right now over quite the extended stretch. 23-7 in their last 30 games. Bob Melvin has his team charging right now for one of those last wild card spots in the American League. Now we're a long way from this thing being over, but they have certainly given cause for the Seattle Mariners and others to keep a close eye on him, because not only playing great baseball, but as you pointed out earlier, CJ, making some moves, trying to get better as a team. There they are, 3 games back of Seattle.
At one point, I think it was a given that at least one team was coming out of the AL East.
Bouncer shortstop. Piscotty rolls out, 1 away.
And it's probably the case with the Yankees. You saw it right there. It's 4.5 right now. For them to drop below 2 teams, I think would be quite the catastrophe. But if it's the case, if it goes the way we think it's going to go, that means one team is fighting for that second wild card. And the A's, they believe they absolutely have a chance, obviously, by the move that they made, bringing in Juris Familia, solidify their bullpen. They could use a starter as well, but if you can't get your hands on a starter, the idea of piling up some relievers is a pretty good one.
Matt Chapman has been terrific for them at third base and has produced at the plate as well. One of the really good young players on this Oakland team. And he takes a little bit in, 1-1.
So I saw what you did to your scorecard. One of my pet peeves: 10 batters came to the plate.
Right.
So that means you got to go into another column, which also means you then have to scratch off every other number because the innings are no longer accurate.
Yeah.
My brain hates that a lot. So what I did for Matt Olson, who walked and grounded out, I squeezed it all into one box. So
well, that's just silly.
So I could keep my columns.
I don't love it.
It's not silly. You're looking at it. You're a little jealous. You're a little jealous that you didn't do it.
No, not jealous.
You are jealous. All right. So if you see right here, split it in one box. There's
closer.
the walk and there's the ground out.
A little closer.
And now I can keep the columns the same right there.
That's just dumb. There's a swinging. Chapman strikes out 2 away.
When you go to cross off that 4 because it has to be a 3, tell me I've done this.
You know who always has a clean book is Emily Jones.
Hey, it's a progressive fan of the game time. It is Alexis Reville. It is her birthday, and you drove from where?
Copper's Cove.
To celebrate your. I know you never should ask a lady her birthday, but you seem to be rocking.
That's okay. I'm 32.
32 and rocking it, and you are the progressive fan of the game. Who's your favorite Ranger?
Alex, Claudio, and Joey Gallo. I have 2.
And she asked if we could be friends, so how could I not make her the progressive fan of the game? We're friends. We're friends.
Buds,
now.
besties.
Yeah, besties. Besties.
Happy birthday, Alexis. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And an Alex Claudio fan. We love that. Left-handed relievers, non-closers, generally the last ones to get love from the fan base. So that gets me pretty excited that Alexis said that's her guy right there. Oh, and Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is a great pick, but that guy right there deserves the love he's getting.
Robbie, once again, the life of the catcher. Vanny can smile about it when he talks to him because he knows the battles. And Kerwin Danley. Nobody else can have that conversation with a smile on their face because here it comes. Oh, right back at you. Now we see every game. So every time that happens, that a bat follows through and hits him somewhere on the helmet, obviously we note it. He has to take a moment, collect himself. And so maybe we're just a little sensitive to it. But I don't feel like we see a lot of the opposing team's catchers getting hit in the head on the follow through.
That's a good point. I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like, we don't see Robinson Chirinos get called for a lot of catcher's interference, right?
None.
So because you're saying, well, is he closer to the plate? If that were the case, then I think we would see that glove getting hit by some bats once in a while. I don't think he leans forward. I mean, you certainly don't even think about necessarily leaning forward as you're catching. That wouldn't be part of the technique. He's got a normal size head. It's not like it's a bigger head or anything, right?
No, I think I'd put it right there at average.
Yeah, like Shrek, I could see where he would get hit a lot. That would make sense.
In the dirt, ball and 2 strikes on Mark Canha. 2 out here, nobody on in the 3rd. Canha had the base hit in the 2nd inning, eventually scored on Lucroy's grand slam. Canha kind of quietly having a real nice year. He takes low, 2-2. 12 home runs this year, 39 RBIs for Canha.
He's playing some catch up too, because look at his total at bats. It's only 284 plate appearances.
Hits this ball well out to left center field. Rua on the run. He won't get to it. Neither will the Shields. They'll have to take it off the warning track. And so Canha with a 2-out double here in the 3rd inning.
Now batting catcher Jonathan Lucroy.
This guy is strong. You see 15 doubles now on the season. Good look at the 4-seam fastball grip from Cole Hamels, and good strong swing. This ball is drilled in the gap, and as a pitcher you hate when you turn and you see this. The ball is up in the air, it splits outfielders. You realize there's no chance anybody is going to catch it. It's at least an easy double. For Mark Canha, you mentioned how good he has been. Really burst on the scene back in 2015, and just consistent playing time after that really hasn't come for him. That rookie year was a good one. He had 16 home runs. He's now taking advantage of some playing time. All of his pace is well ahead of where he was that first year when he was very good.
Lucroy takes a strike. 0-2 the count. Average at 238 for Lucroy coming in, and that grand slam was just his 2nd home run of the year. Hazel 3 for 6 so far tonight with runners in scoring position. And this ball hit high in the air out to left, and it's going to go right to Ryan Rua. So the inning is done, and the A's leave a man. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. It's 5-0 Oakland. Thank you, Dana. Bottom of the third inning, Brett Anderson will go to work against Delino DeShields here. It's 5-0 Oakland, and Delino and his former teammate Jonathan Lucroy sharing a laugh. DeShields hitting .207, and he's thinking bunt, pushes it first base side, and Lowry gets over there in time to cover. So nice play by the first baseman Matt Olson. 3-4 the put out, one away.
It is a really good defensive play. We've talked about the push punt with the lineup. Is it something that he could use a little bit more? Because what we usually see him do is bunt that ball down the third baseline. Good job by Jed Lowry, who's a very good defensive second baseman, but to anticipate and to get over there in time. Wasn't a bad bunt, but a very nice defensive play. I know you've bashed it a little bit, but the defensive efficiency stat for the Oakland A's, they are tied for second in all of baseball. 7-11, essentially 71% of batted balls they turn into outs. League average is .691. They've been very good in that spot. It's been a good defensive club.
League average is what?
.691. The Rangers are at .678 this year. They've been near the bottom in defensive efficiency, but they've been certainly making some strides in that regard. We've talked a lot about Rougned Odor, how good he has been lately defensively.
Okay, so the A's also have 61 errors.
Correct.
How do you feel about that? So
They're
how do you
12th,
right
in the middle of the league, pretty much, right in that middle 10. So yeah, respectable, not great, not terrible.
They're definitely better than they've been the last couple of years. The last few seasons, that's in 3-4 years. Defense has been a fairly large issue for Bob Melvin and the A's, but they're certainly improved. I think to some degree Chapman, maybe even a large degree, Chapman a reason why down at third base, and Chu fooled badly there, strikes out, 2 away in this third inning.
Well, I think Marcus Semion's been a big part of that as well, as far as their struggles. A couple of years ago he made 35 errors. That got better in 2016, 21. Last year he missed time, but he only made 9. He's at 16 now, but that first full year here with the Oakland A's back in 2015, he had some serious defensive struggles. There's been improvement made by him over that time.
Chris Davis is playing in the outfield a lot less than he used to. That has helped. Well, the shift here on Rougned Odor, obviously playing a tendency that he might have to pull the ball on the ground. Outfield is straight away. Semien with the largest part of that shift. That one is over his head, out to right field, over Piscotty's head, and against the fence. Odor trying for 2, and he is in there with a double. His 13th double of the year, and he's in scoring position here in the third inning.
Well, Rougned crushes this ball to right field. He also ran the bases very well. Another hanging breaking ball. We just talked about the big improvements that he has made since last year on breaking pitches this season. The batting average up 70 points compared to a year ago. But I was a little bit concerned because it's a hard bounce off the wall, and Piscotty got it in pretty quickly. It was offline, but Rougned really turned it on between first and second, knowing that there was an outside chance there might have been a play, but the throw was way off, and he got there easily.
All right, so Andrus just missed one in the first inning. Flied out to center field. Endeavoring to get the Rangers on the board here against Brett Anderson. And this ball hit well. High in the air, out to left field. Pender is back near the wall, looks up, it is gone! So Andrus gets the 2-run homer, his third of the year. And that cuts into the lead a little bit, 5-2.
This is really good to see for Elvis, who had some struggles against lefties, but it was just a matter of time before things got turned around because he has been so good against left-handed pitching over the course of his career and just trying to catch that groove after missing some time after he got hit by that pitch earlier in the year, and it appears that he is about to catch that groove. And you see the big smile from the Rangers shortstop.
What a way to get his 1,500th career hit. A two-run homer. And now a guy with twice that number of hits. Adrian Beltre. Yeah, 1,500 hits now for Elvis.
Halfway there.
One and one on Beltre.
Let's take a look at the replay here. First of all, there's a look at was a two-seam fastball. It stayed up, but check out our StatCast. That was a changeup. Powered by AWS, 103 miles an hour off the bat, and a projected distance at 403.
Ooh, bouncer down the third baseline. Chapman hops up. The throw in time, and you get a little look at the defensive brilliance of Matt Chapman at third base. That is a spectacular play.
Let's go back to the Elvis Andrus home run, though, as the Rangers add two here in the bottom of the third, thanks to their shortstop taking that hanging changeup deep to left field. Hit number 1,500 for Elvis Andrus.
Game as we go to the fourth inning. Nice job by Elvis Andrus with that big two-run homer. Our WinStar World Casino and Resort leaderboard, Rangers franchise history, all-time hit list. Michael Young, 2,230 hits, the all-time leader. But there's Elvis Andrus now, one of 5 Rangers with 1,500 hits in Rangers uni. Marcus Semien leads things off here. Top of the order for Oakland. Semien, Pinder, and Lowry. So a big moment and a big landmark for Elvis. More importantly, makes this a game again. And so Hamels, pretty critical that he comes back out here with the fourth inning, and like he did in the third, put up a goose egg and maybe do it efficiently, because he logged a lot of pitches in that second inning. Hard ground ball, and that one is through. So Semien aboard with his first hit of the night. Brewer with a bobble. Semien's going to go for 2. Here comes a throw. Got him at second base. That's Semien tried to read Rua out there in left field and thought he'd go for it. And he gave the Rangers an out. Another outfield assist. This one by Rua as it goes 7-4.
And the Rangers have been very good in that regard this year. Going to take a look at this play, and Ryan Rua, and just on the exchange, bobbled it for just a second, but what a great job to get that throw in as quickly as possible off balance, and a nice job by Rougned Odor to get that tag in there. The Rangers came into tonight with 22 outfield assists. That's tied for the most in baseball, so we'll assume that the Orioles and the Tigers haven't recorded one tonight. I'll tell you that they are now first in baseball because of it. Quite opposite for the Oakland A's, who have just 9 outfield assists this season.
Ground ball, shortstop. Andrus on a backhand. Takes care of Pender. Two gone.
Cole Hamels has to absolutely love that, right? He was frustrated. The pitch that he threw to Marcus Semien, cut back over the plate. He hits that hard base hit to left field. He's thinking, just like you were saying, got to put up a 0 here, try to keep the pitch count down. We just scored 2 runs. Get this offense back in the dugout, get their pitcher back on the mound. So he was frustrated, and he showed some frustration, and then Ryan Rua comes up with a big play to erase that base hit immediately, and now he's got 2 outs and nobody on.
Lowry's had a tough time tonight, 0 for 2. One-0 pitch. And that'll even it up. So Hamels, if he could get Lowry, get out of this inning facing just 3 hitters, get his team right back up there. That would be a bit of a lift. That second inning certainly wreaked havoc on his pitch count tonight. 1-2 the count. Now, some fans might be asking, well, what about all these scouts here? And you noticed today when we went to have dinner,
long line,
a little more crowded in the dining room tonight. A lot of scouts here checking out Hamels as we get down to crunch time of this trade deadline. But there's something to these guys seeing a guy have an inning like he had in the second, and then battle back to keep his team in the game. And he strikes out Lowry for the final out of this 4th inning. A 9-pitch 4th for Cole Hamels.
Well, nice job to bounce back. Ryan Rua gives him the assist that kind of changes the momentum of the inning, and then he finishes off Jed Lowry with the strikeout.
Visit your local GMC dealer today. A 3-run game as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Hamels has put up a couple of zeros the last 2 innings. Rangers scored 2 in their last at bat. We'll try to continue the comeback here. Profar leading it off, and he smacks one into left field. That's a base hit. So a good start to the 4th inning. The Rangers bats looking a lot healthier here these last couple of frames.
This has been a really good development this year for Jurickson Profar. We've talked so much about him, the playing time, the at-bats, what was going to happen. Still plenty of time for him in his career, but probably the biggest thing I think the Rangers have to be thrilled with him is the fact that he's been very good against left-handed pitching, right? That was a concern coming in. You look at his career track, and there have been some struggles against lefties over his career, and of course he was battling all those injuries. But this year, it's been a really nice turnaround in that regard, and I think he has earned Jeff Bannister's trust a little bit more as well, as far as getting those starts against lefties.
Rua hit a ball hard in the second inning.
I didn't want to get it wrong, so I wanted to double check. Jurickson Profar, coming into this year, was hitting 188, had hit 188 against lefties in his career. And this year so far hitting 276. That goes up with 2 more base hits tonight.
Two and one the count on Ryan Rua. Well, Brett Anderson spotted to some early runs tonight, and this, we mentioned earlier, a big start for him. Originally drafted by the Diamondbacks out of Stillwater High School in Oklahoma, where he was a standout high school superstar. Count 2-2. His dad was a head baseball coach at Oklahoma State for like 9 years, now a pitching coach at the University of Houston. But drafted by Arizona, ended up making his big league debut with Oakland. Spent a few years with the A's, and then some detours there. Colorado, Dodgers. This one bounced third base, but foul. 2-2. And last year was with the Cubs, but Anderson now back with the team that gave him his first big league opportunity. And it's an important start for him because this rotation in a bit of flux. They've had some injuries this year. They are lacking in depth, but they do have some guys on the mend. Daniel Mengden should be coming back here very shortly. Tomorrow, we anticipate Frankie Montas to get the start. In fact, before the ball game today, Bob Melvin said that he will get the start. So we'll see Montas returning to the rotation for Oakland. Strikeout there of Rua. Bring up Robinson, Chirinos, but they're going to need starters. They're going to need guys to eat some innings, because while the bullpen has been great, their bullpen has been worked hard.
That's certainly something that always concerns a team, and I think that's why you've already seen the A's add to their bullpen, and there's a decent chance that they may continue to try to add to their bullpen because of what's happening with their starting pitching.
Ground ball into left field. That's a base hit for Chirinos. So Profar drops anchor at second base. 2 men aboard with only 1 out.
The first baseman, Mound.
Take a look at this pitch here. Not bad one on the outside corner at 89 miles an hour with a little bit of movement away, but a good swing there from Chirinos to get out front, get that pitch and find himself a hole on the left side. We're talking about Brett Anderson. One of the things that's just been unfortunate for him is the injury history. 11 career trips to the DL, 7 times on the 60. A team puts you on the 60-day DL. When you have an injury, you're going to be out for a while, and then they can replace you on the 40-man roster, including a trip this year. He was on the DL from May 19th through July 8th because of a strained left shoulder.
Say 7 times?
7 times on the 60.
Yeah, that's amazing.
11 times overall.
Right.
7 of those times he went on the 60 or was moved to the 60.
Guzman bounced into a double play back in the second inning, trying to stay out of one here. And in a hole 0-2. Yeah, I mean, look, 11 times on the DL, that's a lot. But 7 times on the 60 days, you point out, it's so rare. In fact, oftentimes I wonder why teams don't just put guys on the 60-day DL. And there's so many times where you're like, well, the guy's going to be out for X number of months. Why don't you just put him on the 60-day? So, no, there's a reason.
Yeah.
I just don't fully understand all that.
Well, they wait because
until they need the spot.
Yeah, until you need the 40-man roster spot. I don't know what the tie-in is with insurance either. I don't know. Sometimes that changes.
Right.
And that could be part of it. But you're right. It does seem like teams wait till the very last second until they need that 40-man roster spot.
1-2 pitch. This ball hit high in the air, but to shallow left field. Pender racing in. Semien going out, and Semien does get to it. It seemed like a ball that either one maybe could have gotten to and made look a little more routine, but regardless, they do get the out, and there too.
And it might have been just because of the sky, right? It's not completely dark here yet. We talk about this a lot. I mean, essentially the sky right now is about the color of a baseball, so it could be a little bit more difficult to read. That's a long run. I mean, you see how deep Pinder was playing, which is kind of interesting when you have a left-handed hitter like Ronald Guzman up, that he'd be playing that deep. But as we mentioned, Ronald Guzman's done a pretty good job hitting the ball the other way.
So 2 gone, and it's up to the Shields. Profar at second, Chirinos at first. Delano tried to bunt his way on to open the 3rd inning. Pushed it right down the first baseline, but to Matt Olson, who made a nice defensive play. This ball looped out to left field. Pender is there, and the inning is done. So the Rangers got a couple of hits, but they lead both. And we head to the 5th. It's 5-2 Oakland. At your local Buick dealer. A 5-2 ball game as we go to the 5th inning tonight. Oakland with the early lead here. Coming up Wednesday of this week, Rangers and A's, 3rd game of this 4-game series. It'll be a Texas Chili Company $1 hot dog night. All your tickets available at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. Either way, come on out and join us. $1 hot dogs all night long. See a big game between these two West Division foes, and Oakland, as we pointed out earlier, 3 games back of a wild card spot at the moment. Playing some of the hottest baseball right now in the bigs. As Chris Davis takes ball 1. He has doubled and flied out to center field. Dangerous hitter who has inflicted all kinds of damage on the Rangers over the years. 21 home runs at the expense of Rangers pitching. He may have broken his bat there. Nope, he just wants some more
glue stick
or whatever.
That's the glue stick.
But it's not really glue. What is that stuff called?
Is it not? What it's like beeswax is what it's like, a hardened beeswax. It's definitely not beeswax, but I don't know. We call it the glue stick, I believe.
Well, but it's
but it's brown.
Here we go.
It's almost like wood glue stick. Yeah.
Sausage.
Yeah.
That's why they like that stuff.
Sushi roll. Definitely don't eat it. Although it smells delicious.
Swing and a miss. Davis strikes out, 1 away here in the 5th inning. Well, let's take a little break here and listen to the words of wisdom from our friends at Southwest Kia.
At Southwest Kia, we've made car buying easy. $250 down delivers, monthly payments $250 a month or less. SouthwestKia.com.
Totally agree. 1 out here is Matt Olson. Olson has walked and rolled out to second base. Not pleased with that one. Pitch count by inning. Everything's been fine except for the second. Unfortunately, you can't just scratch it off the list. 38 pitches in that second inning.
It's a good job by Cole Hamels to stop himself right there. Right, we saw him get frustrated with the first pitch. Maybe caught himself going a little bit too fast. You stop, you take a breath, get yourself reset.
And this ball hit hard out to right field by Olson. Chu will gather it up. That's a base hit. Man on here in the 5th inning. Now, am I grasping at straws, or do you think there's anything to it that, you know, you're scouting from the number of teams that are thinking about Cole Hamels in the last week or so here of the month as a potential acquisition? The fact that he would have that tough inning might give them a chance to see something today, right? You know, the recent performance of a guy, how he responds in that kind of a situation. Is there any value to that?
It doesn't hurt, without a doubt. I think scouts are not focused on results. You could throw up a few zeros and they might not like what they see. You might get hit around a little bit or let up some runs and they might like what they see. I mean, they have to dig a little bit deeper as part of their job, and when they're filling out their reports, they don't write 7 innings, 3 runs. They talk about the velocity. They talk about the action on the pitches, the use of the off speed, how he looked, you know, life on pitches, things that are hard to put numbers on. We've seen a couple of times where some pitches have cut back over the plate. They may mention command of the zone, command of the pitches, all that kind of stuff. But the little things like that, I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt. That's something you may write in on the side and say, you know, same guy, ultra competitive, bounce back from a, you know, tough second inning, but innings, you know, 1, 3 through 6 were really good, whatever it may be. They definitely dig in a little bit more than just the line, but no, I don't think it's not how they lead their report, but it certainly doesn't hurt and gets noted.
This ball hit well out to left field. Rua ranging back, and that one is gone. 2-run homer for Piscotty, who's been swinging a very good bat lately. And Oakland back to a 5-run lead. It's 7-2.
What a difference for Stephen Piscotty. You remember, I guess it must have been a series that hit their place where it seemed like he either struck out on 3 pitches or hit into a double play on the first pitch. Remember that run he had? It was unbelievable how much Ranger pitching was dominating Piscotty. You almost felt bad for him at one point. But here he is getting a hold of a changeup at 85 miles an hour and hitting it out of the ballpark. That's why you never feel sorry for him when he's struggling.
That's
You're
right.
able to do well.
A little bit of an oddity in that the 13 home runs he has hit this season, 12 of them have come on the road.
That is pretty amazing.
There's a strike. 0-2 the count to Matt Chapman. This And fouled away. Earlier, Matt Moore was working in the Rangers pen. Now it's Alex Claudio. Top of the 5th inning, 1 out.
It's Emily's new best friend's favorite Ranger.
That's right. And there's a swing and a miss. Chapman strikes out 2nd time tonight. And he's gone down swinging. 2 away.
Center fielder Mark Hanna.
So some strikeouts beginning to populate the scorecard with a little more frequency for Cole Hamels. And now the 8th place hitter Mark Hanna, who's been a real thorn in the side tonight. Base hitting a double already for Canna, and he takes low and in. Five runs in the 2nd, 2 across here in the 5th inning. This one pulled foul to even the count. So opening game of this series. And the Rangers will see a little bit of Oakland and Seattle, as well as Anaheim in this 2nd half of the season. That's partly because of the divisional games. They will wrap up their season series with Houston this weekend in Houston. This ball lifted high in the air out to short left field. Rua coming in, and he'll call for it and handle it. So the inning is done. Hamels allows the home run to Piscotty. Oakland now with a 7-2 lead.
We direct your attention to video purposes to error half.
Summer Logger. It's a 7-2 Oakland lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. So the Rangers offense will need to get it fired up here. They've got the top of the order coming. Shin-Soo Choo will lead things off. Then Rougned, Odor, and Elvis Andrus. Brett Anderson has found some bats these last couple of innings, but has largely avoided, big time damage. He can be a little more aggressive now too, back with that 5-run lead. He struck out Choo in the 3rd inning, and on strike 3 had him completely baffled. 1-1. Choo 0 for 3 with a walk in yesterday's game. Takes a little bit in. Saw his 52-game on-base streak come to a close in that series over the weekend. Think about Chu, though. I mean, we mentioned earlier in the broadcast the on-base average at 400. He's third in the league with 64 walks. He's a guy, veteran guy, gives great at bats every time. Seems to be getting almost better as his career wears on. Power is up. And you do wonder, especially after some conversations with Cleveland in town, talking about the sorts of things they were looking for. And one of the reasons they re-signed Melky Cabrera. Sometimes it's not just the straight production, but it's the type of production, the type of at-bats that a guy gives you. And choose a guy who, in a big spot for a team playing meaningful games, you figure really could contribute in a what would be a very important way. But we'll see.
Yeah, no two ways about it that he could help a contender. Now, he's got a contract that's a little heavy on the back end. That's something that would come up in discussions as far as trade possibilities. And as far as the Indians go, they really need a righty.
Right.
That's the one thing that kind of gets in the way a little bit as far as a potential deal there. But as you're kind of going through that.
This ball lined to first, dropped down there, but Olsen deemed to have caught it by first base umpire Ben May, and then just steps on the bag to double off Chu. That's interesting.
Very interesting that he said that he caught that, because he didn't. This ball was hit so hard that it bounced out of his glove. I mean, he never had complete control. I think he's calling it fair, isn't he? I mean, he must. Okay, he ended up tagging Chu anyway. That ball was absolutely smoked. Rougned is just locked in right now. 110 miles an hour.
So got to be closer to 111, no?
Yeah, probably rounded up. You know me, I'm not using that decimal point. Got to make a stand somewhere. But I was going to say, as you're going through everything with Chu and the quality at bats, everything that he's doing, the thing that sticks out to me that I'm probably most amazed at, yeah, the on-base streak was cool, but the home runs. Like, if there's one part of your game that should start to go down as you are 36 years old, you would expect the power to come down. You're not going to run as well. You might still be able to draw a walk, but maybe the swing's going to go a little shorter. You're going to slap the ball to all fields, and that's how you get on base. But that hasn't been the situation at all here for Chu.
Andrus wraps this one sharply foul. 1-2 the count. Yep, I would agree. The part of that streak with Chu was that as it wore on, you'd think, well, maybe in a late at bat in the game, you would just try to poke one somewhere and keep the streak going. But no, he was trying to drive the ball, and did drive the ball, like that one driven by Andrus down the left field line, but into foul territory. Elvis homered in the third inning as Anderson 1 out away from working his way through 5 innings tonight.
He's caught a couple of breaks. There's been
He has.
a handful of times where there's been some hard contact. That obviously we just saw it there with Rougned, but some hard contact that has turned into an out, or outs in that case.
There's something to smile about. Time for our cricket smile. This was the third inning. Yeah. There also aren't many better smiles than his.
No. Jerks Kovar's trying to give him a run for his money this year, but not quite there yet.
Well, Andrus chases strike 3 here, makes for a quiet bottom of the 5th inning for the Rangers. So we go to the 6th with the Rangers down by 5.
as Jonathan Lucroy was facing his former battery mate in Cole Hamels, and he took him out to center field just barely, but it was good for 4 RBIs. It was a grand slam by Jonathan Lucroy, the 4th of his career, but just his 2nd home run this season. Of course, you had the A's had a couple of more on the Stephen Piscotty home run in the 5th. That's how they got their 7 runs. The Rangers got their 2 on a home run. So all the runs, almost all the runs coming in via the home run, as Matt Moore now on for the Texas Rangers. There is that pitch arsenal for Matt. The fastball's been averaging 92 miles an hour. You see the curveball, the changeup, and occasionally that cutter. And the cutter's been a big story for Matt Moore this year because it was a pitch that he kind of abandoned when he first got here with the Texas Rangers in spring training, but slowly but surely it kind of creeped his way back into the repertoire, and he has been using it, not at the rate that he had been over the course of his career, but it's not 0, which originally was his intention.
Moore goes after Lucroy with strike 1. Lucroy, 32 RBIs after that grand slam, and a little tapper right back to Moore. And away. Great start for Moore.
Let's get to our Southwest player breakdown and some of the defense tonight by the Texas Rangers. Check out Jurickson Profar at third base. Great job on the backhand. Even better job on the throw. And then Arcana at third base. Arguably maybe the best defender in the game right now. Ryan Rua had a little bit of an issue on that ball, but recovered nicely and picked himself up an assist from the outfield. That put the Rangers as a team at the top in all of Major League Baseball with 23 outfield assists. That's good awareness by Ryan Rua. I think a lot of times you see a guy maybe bobble the ball a little bit and just try to get himself set, but he realized there could be a play at second base and didn't have time to set his feet and got that ball in immediately.
Simeon's been on a couple of times here tonight. He has scored 1 run, a ball and a strike to him. And Moore delivers low, ball 2. You mentioned Simeon's defensive struggles early on. It really does blow my mind. I mentioned this, I think, earlier this year when we played Oakland. He has the longest tenured A.
2015, right?
He's been with the team since 2015, all the way back. There's a fastball that misses upstairs. Full count now.
Turnover is the name of the game, right, for their roster. The financial constraints in which they operate under is part of that. Get too good, you're on your way out.
Bouncer third base. Profar charges, throws, and he gets Simeon 2 away. And time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in with Dana Larson.
Outfielder Jan Hendrick.
All right, thanks, Dana. And this one swung on and lifted into center field, right to Delano DeShields, and Matt Moore with a tidy 1-2-3, top of the 6th inning. So the lefty comes in and does his job. And now the heart of the order coming for the Rangers, down by 5. low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Shiner's Sea Salt and Lime Summer Lager. Here we go now. 4, 5, and 6 due in this 6th inning for the Rangers. Down by 5. Adrian Beltre, Dirksen Profar, and Ryan Rua. Brad Anderson out for another inning of work. Left-hander has looked good so far. And gets one in there for a strike. 1-1 to Beltre, who was struck out and grounded out. Like Adrian and Lucroy catching up a little bit. Fly ball out to right field. That'll take Piscotty back a little bit, but plenty of room out there. 1 away. Well, a little bit later on in the summer, Saturday, August 4th, Rangers and Orioles will be getting together. A 7:05 game. The first 15,000 fans get a Vladimir Guerrero Hall of Fame bobblehead, courtesy of Allstate. Your tickets are available at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972-RANGERS. Here's Profar, 2 for 2 tonight. And hits this ball on the ground, shortstop. High hop for Simeon, and the true throw in time. 2 quick outs. Brings up Ryan Rua, who's been swinging it well, playing it well overall. We check in with Emily.
Yeah, Ryan Rua said he's feeling very comfortable at the plate, even though he isn't getting terribly consistent playing time. He says he's been trying to go the other way with the ball, let it get deeper in the zone so he could do that, and being better at identifying his pitch to hit. It seems to be working of late.
Working real well lately. 1 for 2 in today's game. Watches the backdoor breaking ball for strike 1. 7 runs, 9 hits for Oakland, 2 runs and 6 hits for the Rangers.
If you notice there with Ryan Rua, as we showed him as he was coming up to the plate, taking his time a little bit, stood in the on-deck circle, kind of played with his gloves, walked slowly. That was intentional because the first 2 hitters were retired pretty quickly. What was it, on 4 pitches? So he wants to make sure he gives Matt Moore enough time to have a breather. Doesn't want that inning to go too quick. It's always the sign of a veteran.
Well, in a hole here, 0-2. And Anderson bounces it up there.
One thing you haven't seen from Brad Anderson tonight, and probably not surprising, is that no Ranger has swung and missed at any of his fastballs. And he has just an 8% what we call a whiff rate on the fastball. 8% is extremely low. The league average is 18%. So he's not a big swing and miss guy to begin with. He has just a 4.6 strikeout per 9 rate coming into this start. But there hasn't been a Ranger so far this evening that has swung and missed at any fastball.
Rua stays alive, 2-2.
That's a little preview of what you're going to get on Analytics Night tomorrow night.
You pretty geeked up about that?
Pretty geeked up. Hoping I don't trip all over myself is really kind of the goal.
It's my intention to ask you a lot of difficult questions.
Appreciate it.
Breaking ball. And they're going to say he swung. Ben May, a couple calls he's been involved with today. And he strikes out Rua right there. It's a 1-2-3 bottom of the 6th.
Take a look at that side swing. Did he go? Really, really close.
7th inning, and Fox Sports Southwest, the Texas Rangers are going outside the box this summer, and tomorrow night our first venture outside the box. We'll be posting on baseball analytics. It's going to be a special broadcast. A lot of things that you're not accustomed to seeing during the show. We'll roll out tomorrow. CJ will be the in-house professor. He'll take all the questions.
Oh, wait a minute, what?
Answer everything. No, it'll be fun. We'll discuss, a lot of the things going on in analytics, and I guarantee you this: we will miss out on some stuff.
Oh, no doubt.
And I also guarantee that there's a lot of things going on with analytics inside baseball, in the front offices, and etc., that we do not understand and have not seen or been exposed to, and that I'm sure a lot of teams are very tight-lipped about. Now, that said, Todd Slavinsky, the director of baseball analytics for the Rangers, will join us for portions of the broadcast tomorrow as well, and we look forward to talking to him about that. We'll have a lot of insight from a lot of different areas around the ball club tomorrow to bring to you. So I hope you will tune in, and I hope that it's enjoyable for at least somebody. You, me, the viewer.
I think people will like you. Go in with a little bit of an open mind. There's definitely no doubt in my mind. So I think some fans that get frustrated by some of the newer analytics that are thrown around. You and I talk about this a lot. What is the best way to bring it into a broadcast? What are audiences most likely to absorb and make sense to them? And we'll dig in. There'll be a couple of things. Listen, there's a lot that's even over our heads. But it's also, I think, really important for the modern broadcaster to have an idea of where some of these analytics are. And so there may be some frustration, but we ask you to check it out with a little bit of an open mind. If we do it right, and that is not all on me, it's also on you. But if we do it right, we'll be able to make sense of a lot of it and hopefully put it in language even that I can understand. I mean, let's be honest. It's a very limited vocabulary I'm working with.
It'll be fun. It's Lowry. This one high in the air to the right side. Foul and out of play. Lowry 0 for 3 today. Jed, a switch hitting middle infielder, and used to play a little more shortstop than he does now. Now almost exclusively a second baseman. This will be the 7th pitch of the at bat. And Moore loses him just off the plate. Leadoff walk here in the 7th. Let's take a little break here for a word from our friends over at Kia.
At Kia, get America's best value backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
Moore pitched a perfect 6th inning. A couple of groundouts and a flyout. Looked really good. But now a walk to start things here in the 7th. And Chris Davis almost takes his head off with that line drive up the middle. So the first 2 men on for Oakland, and for Davis, his 2nd hit of the night.
First baseman Matt Olson.
This guy's just not a lot of fun to face. He's really strong. 4-seam fastball from Matt Moore. We talked about Davis and the struggles that he's had against lefties. Well, more often than not, that means pitches that are moving away from him, or if you go inside with some kind of cutter or hard slider that's barreling in on his hands. But he can hit a 4-seam fastball from a lefty with the best of them, and that one sat in the middle a little bit, and he was able to square it up against Matt Moore.
Now Moore will step off the back of the rubber for a moment. Olson has been on a couple of times today. Base hit his last time up. He has scored 2 runs. 7-2 Oakland. The A's are the only division foe for the Rangers against whom they have a winning record so far this year. They have struggled to a large degree against the Houston Astros, have losing records against both the Angels and the Mariners, but the Rangers are 5-4 coming into play tonight against these A's. Lowry and Chris Davis out of the bases, nobody out. strike, 2-1. Well, it seems like just about every night around baseball, Dana Larson was just keeping us up to date on the Pirates a little bit earlier, but just about every night there's a no-hit bid of some consequence to report or to check in on. But today a very special one for St. Louis and Daniel Ponce de Leon, who, by the way, I mean, if not the greatest name in baseball, certainly among them. 26 years old, making his big league debut. Went 7 no-hit innings in his big league debut against Cincinnati, and his story, unbelievable. It's a stunner that he's in the big leagues. Had emergency brain surgery 15 months ago after being hit in the head by a line drive, and of course had to start from square one coming back. Can you move your hands? Can you move your feet after the surgery? And in 15 short months worked his way back, made his big league debut tonight, and went 7 no-hit innings. That is a special night for Daniel Ponce de Leon.
Hard to imagine even going through that, and the idea of recovering and just making sure that the quality of life is going to return to what you hoped it would be.
Infield fly on this pop-up near short.
I love this quote. Because I knew I'd feel fine. This is what he said last year. Just a matter of whether or not my skull was going to heal up. I mean, you think about the injuries that players have to deal with. That one had to be certainly scary for Daniel, but what a great debut. Unfortunately, the Cardinals ended up losing that game by a score of 2-1. What a nice moment for him.
Jennifer Langosh, who covers the Cardinals for MLB.com or Cardinals.com, wrote a really thorough and cool piece on Ponce de Leon making his debut prior to the game. The piece was posted, and I would just encourage you, if you're interested, to hop on and read it, because it is really cool to get the entire story and his perspective and everything that went into making his way back at age 26, making his debut tonight. And part of that story, she mentions that there's still a visible dent in his head.
It's amazing.
Yeah, phenomenal night. 2 men on here for Oakland. And the pitch to Piscotty over first, down the right field line, and it drops in. That's a base hit. Lowry around third, he'll score. Davis stopped at third base on the double by Piscotty. It's 8-2 Oakland.
We talked about Stephen Piscotty in our open and how much he has been slugging. Double number 27 for him. It's a pretty good pitch for Matt Moore. I mean, you're not going to throw a fastball down and away much better than that, but when a guy is locked in, there's not a lot you can do, and he goes the other way and gets himself an RBI double.
So now Matt Chapman had the infield hit, and he struck out twice since. Boy, that infield hit, that was a very important play in this ball game. Big key to that 5-run second inning against Cole Hamels. Looked like the Rangers might well have had a force out at second base, but on review, the call on the field that the toss to second was a little bit late, held up, and then things got away. Got away from Cole Hamels. One pitch. And that's strike 2. It's been about 6 weeks or so since these two teams have seen each other. Rangers and A's, of course, in the same division. They play 19 games head-to-head over the course of a summer. It was June 5th and 6th here last time they squared off, and there's a swing and a foul tip. Actually, I guess closer to 7 weeks. But they'll see a lot of each other going forward. A lot of Seattle, a lot of Anaheim. Rangers' second half of the season, or post All-Star break portion of the season, filled with teams either in a wild card race or a division race. A little bit tight, 2-2. So Mort hardly broke a sweat in the 6th inning. Really working hard here in the 7th. And this ball hit hard down the left field line and gone. Chapman hooks one, a line shot into the seats. A 3-run homer, his 11th of the year. And that opens it up a little bit for Oakland. Now 11-2.
Matt Moore really wanted that pitch before. The fastball that was inside, it was called off the plate. I think he was showing a little bit of frustration by the call, and he was forced to bring this one a little bit over. Watch this one here, trying to go up and in, and see Robinson Chirinos trying to make it look good. It was in off the plate. But he comes back with the changeup and didn't quite turn it over as much as he wanted to. You see Robinson Chirinos said he had to slide back over the plate. Matt Moore was trying to keep that down and away and moving away from Chapman, but he was unable to do so. Get some StatCast numbers on his Matt Chapman home run. 115 miles an hour, nearly 400 feet. Not much of a launch angle on that homer. It was a line shot.
And 2 on Mark Canha.
As a matter of fact, only 18 degrees.
It was really just enough, right? At 17 degrees, who knows? That thing may not get out.
Yeah. Might have put a dent in the wall.
Yeah.
At what I say was 115 miles an hour.
Canha's had a good day at the plate. He fights off a good 0-2 pitch. Well, an Oakland team, 14 games over 500. They've gone 23-7 in their last 30 games. They've done it at home, but also on the road. They're a good road team, Oakland. 31-21 on the road this year. Little inside out swing, bloops it out over second, but Odor able to get out there and make the play. 2 away. Well, looking ahead to tomorrow's game, Ford probable as Mike Minor on the hill. Pre-game coverage will start at 6:30 tomorrow, but it'll be his 11th start at home. And he's pitched well here, 4-2, a 3.54 ERA. He'll probably see a very similar lineup as Cole Hamels saw tonight.
And we don't want to give too much away and whet the appetite a little bit, but Mike Minor, there'll be some good things to dig in with him analytically, and we're talking spin rate a little bit. He addressed that today, and just kind of where he is and what's been going on, the trends, and just in general why that's important, what kind of value that has. That's kind of what we're going for. As you hear a lot of these terms, and I believe there's times where you're probably sitting there going, well, what is that worth? Right? WAR, what is it good for? Dave Raymond also
absolutely nothing.
Sinks.
Two and one. Lucroy, grand slam earlier, 1 for 3. You know, it's interesting pointing out that Oakland has played real well on the road this year. It's something about this division. Everybody in the division has played well on the road this year. In fact, in most cases, you could even argue they've all played better on the road. Like Houston's 34-15 on the road, appreciably better than they are at home. Oakland much better on the road. Seattle's good at both places, but you could argue, well, argue nothing. I mean, they are better at home. Angels are playing .500 ball at both, but the Rangers are better on the road. This one hit hard out to left field. Rua can't get to it. It's over his head. Lucroy with a well-struck double, and the inning continues.
Pretty amazing, and we really did not see Jonathan Lucroy pull the ball very much last year. I think that was one of the stories with him. I mentioned it earlier. He's been a guy that we saw him kind of short to the ball, hitting the ball the other way, trying to avoid the strikeout, more of a contact hitter, and we've seen him take a couple of big swings here tonight and hit that home run to dead center. Now here he is pulling this ball over the head of Ryan Rua. Speaking of some of the metrics, you remember when StatCast first came out? We started seeing it on broadcast a little bit, and some of the data that was available. Route efficiency was kind of popular, and people were interested in it. And then all of a sudden it kind of went away. If you noticed, it's not around anymore. And that's one of the discussions I think we'll have too, is sometimes we rush to get some stuff out there before maybe it's completely vetted, and it was ultimately concluded that it wasn't reliable enough. You don't see it anymore. Just very quietly went away. Nobody said anything.
Well, is it gone? I mean, is it just completely?
I don't see it.
I mean, you're right. I mean, I have not seen.
I remember reading an article, I think it was last year. It might have been in the Ringer. Could be wrong. Could have been 2 years ago in Sports Illustrated. I don't know. But I remember reading it somewhere. And yeah, it was funny. It was one of those things like, hey, whatever happened to that? And it wasn't that long ago. I mean, StatCast is what, 2015? But it just went away. And what I had read was that it was just because they realized it wasn't as efficient. See what I did there? Route efficiency wasn't efficient. Pay attention. And so they just kind of stopped using it. Because it was a neat idea. Because that's something that scouts will talk about, right? We talk about the marriage between scouting part and analytical part. That's something we'll cover tomorrow as well, and how that marriage has been better than I think when this whole thing first started. The route efficiency is something scouts would always talk about. Takes good routes, doesn't take good routes, whatever it may be, and they'd figure out ways to grade it. And we thought maybe we had a metric that could tell us exactly how those routes were, but ultimately come to find out that it wasn't as reliable as we thought.
Strike to Simeon, the count 3-1. I mean, yeah.
It went away like Homer in the bushes. Just like sneaking, I'm out of here. Not saying anything, just back door gone.
This ball ripped into left field. That's a base hit. Lucroy headed to the plate, and Simeon heads to second. He is in there. RBI double. Another 5-run inning for Oakland. Makes it 12-2. And Jeff Bannister has seen enough, so more is done. Banny signals for Alex Claudio, and the start-arming lefty on his way in. 12-2 Oakland. 12-2 here in the 7th inning. Our who's in, who's out pitching change sponsored by In-N-Out Burger, and the who's in, that's Alex Claudio, takes over with 2 outs here in the inning. The who's out portion, Matt Moore, and he had a tough go, but really good in the 6th inning. But Moore just, I don't know, ran into a wall in the 7th inning.
We started getting squared up a little bit, and so Alex Claudio comes in. Here's the pitch arsenal for the Rangers left-hander. 3rd one of the night. Fastball, changeup, slider usage, but it's mostly about the fastball and the changeup. The changeup has been such a good pitch for Alex over these last couple of years. Average is 70, but he'll throw that thing as slow as 62, 63 miles an hour sometimes.
Chad Pinder swings at the first pitch, hits it hard out to right field, and that one is off the fence. Chu will hustle it back in, but Simeon scores. RBI double by Pinder. It's 13-2 Oakland.
Second baseman, Jed Lowry.
Take a look at this first pitch. Alex just thinking about getting ahead, throws that fastball up and away. And Pinder not waiting around. He drilled that ball to right field pretty well.
So the 10th batter of the inning, Jed Lowry, who started things with a walk, and he takes strike 1. 2 outs here, an infield fly and a pop-up by Mark Canha. The 2 outs. But there have been 4 doubles and a home run in the inning to go along with a single and a walk. 1-1 the count.
So when you scratched out your 3rd inning and had to make it 2, you didn't do all the innings, did you?
Nope, I do them 1 at a time. For
Good
this
thing.
reason.
Every once in a while. It does happen. As the A's have now battered around twice. 9 batters count as battered around for you, or is it 10?
9 batters.
It's one of those useless internet discussions that has happened in the baseball community.
I do see people arguing about that, but for me, you've batted around when all 9 spots have come up.
Agreed.
You?
Agreed. Yep. You got some purists who might say otherwise. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's the new school. I don't know. There's a group of guys out there and gals that cover this game. Feel pretty strongly about the fact that it takes 10 batters to come to the plate in an inning for that to be considered batting around.
Listen, if there's an argument, I'm happy to listen to it. Swing and a miss, and Lowry goes down swinging. So we got 2 of the 3 true outcomes in the inning. It is done as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Rangers offense needs to get going. It'll be Chirinos, Guzman, and Shields when we return. Shiners, sea salt and lime summer lagers. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. 13-2, Oakland leading. And we also have some changes for the Oakland A's. Franklin Barreto takes over at second base, and Emilio Pagan is the first man up out of the bullpen for Oakland.
And the right-hander pitching in his 36th game of the season. You see the pitch arsenal there below. 39 strikeouts to 13 walks. That's somewhere around a 3-to-1 ratio. Good ERA for him in his 41 innings of work.
Also a good start for Brett Anderson with 6 innings, allowed a couple of runs on 6 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, so he'll be happy with that. Last of the 7th, and Robinson Chirinos of the Rangers happy to get a look at somebody else tonight. Chirinos 1 for 2. As one of the Rangers' 6 hits. Two and 0 the count. Since the Andrus home run in the 3rd inning, the Rangers have had 3 base runners, and one of them was doubled off. There's not a lot of opportunity tonight on the offensive side. Pagan's 2-0, and it's outside. Well, their bullpen, the A's bullpen, has been very good. And if you wanted to try and pinpoint one specific reason why their record has been so good, especially lately, and why they have climbed into the wild card race, you might point to that bullpen's effectiveness. And they went out and strengthened their bullpen. So despite the fact that it has been outstanding, yeah, there they are. Really solid group of relievers, and that's one of the things that Billy Beane and the Oakland A's have done well. Pick up guys who can either help the team or then been flipped at the deadline for value. There's a walk to Chirinos. We will pause for a Chevy game break. Check in with Dana Larson.
First baseman, Ronald Guzman.
All right, thanks, Dana. Big lead here, too, although it is for Oakland 13-2. Chirinos is on. And Ronald Guzman, the hitter, he's bounced into a double play and popped up. Anyway, there have been 3, I'd say, fairly significant trades made so far here as we approach the deadline. Not quite to the deadline yet. And Oakland, of all teams, Oakland would have made one of those deals. And not as sellers, but as buyers.
Yeah, it's certainly gotten interesting here, I think, for the Oakland A's. And you mentioned how they've kind of done this in the past. They'll take some chances with relievers. They don't take a lot of chances in free agency or trade where you have to take on some salary, but they'll do it with relievers, and they have in the past for that exact reason that you stated, that you can win with some relievers. Maybe if your team is not as strong in other areas, you can make up for it sometimes with a really good bullpen. And if it doesn't work out, as long as those guys are performing, then you can turn around and flip those guys. Now this is pretty interesting. We saw Manny Machado get traded over the All-Star break, but Brad Hand, impact reliever, Juris Familia, impact reliever, closer. Guys that have been dealt already, and we've seen the difference that it's made for teams. It's been pretty fascinating to watch, really, these last few years, the value of non-closers especially, and how teams have really appreciated what they can bring to the table and what a difference they can make.
And Bob Melvin today before the ballgame talking about where Familia will fit in, and he's got 3 studs at the back end, with Familia being one of them. Blake Trinan, their closer, has just been outstanding. And then Familia and Lou Trevino, who is quite a story. This ball hit well out to right center field, and that one will bounce off the warning track and up against the fence. Chirinos waved around third base. He will score on the double by Guzman, and it's 13-3.
As much as we've talked about Guzman's ability to go the other way, he has pull power. And on his 11th double of the season, he absolutely drilled this ball. Good look at the two-seam fastball, and one that had a little bit of movement back over the plate. He put a good swing on. A lot of times we'll see him stay inside the ball and hit it to left center, but this one he got out in front of, caught it out front, and drilled it into the gap.
So a 10-run game now, and here is DeShields. He takes in the dirt. Ball one. But they've got three good relievers now they can use at the back of the pen. And he did say, Melvin seemed to indicate that Familia, he might slide in around the 8th inning right now, could be 7th inning. He wants to take a little pressure off Trevino. Does not feel like it's been too much yet for Treinen. Feels like that guy, he said it today, he's like, man, that guy never gets tired. Just keeps going and going. This one a little bit in.
I wonder if Blake Treinen agrees. Whenever you hear your manager say something like that as a reliever, oh, this guy's great, he's feeling great, you use him every day. You're like, oh, no, actually, that's incorrect.
Maybe not that great.
I'm a little tired. Can I get a day off, please? It's interesting, I think, the Familia part of this, though, because he comes over as the closer for the Mets. And a guy that is headed into free agency. And he has pretty much only pitched in the 9th inning this season. He had a couple of games, 4 games in which he entered in the 8th inning this year, but his role has been to close. And whenever you're headed into free agency and you've kind of been on that path, I think some of these guys do worry, and understandably so. How will that affect me? I'm going to have to take on a more important role, but will I get hurt on the salary side?
Counts it as shortstop, and they just get it to first in time to beat Delano for the first out of the inning. Oh, Delano, as he always does, puts great pressure on the defense. Almost beat that one out.
And I don't think that's selfish. I really don't. I mean, you're not going to stand in front of the, in front of reporters and say, I think I'm going to close. I'm worried I'm going to lose money this offseason because of it. It's not a selfish thing to think, though. All the work that he has done over these last few years. I mean, he had 51 saves in 2016. This guy's been a good closer. Now, he hasn't had as many. He's had some injuries. The Mets haven't been as good. Missed some time, but it could affect him a little bit. Now, teams will overlook it. We see that once in a while. There's Juris Familia. Believe it or not, I actually played with him at the end of my career.
Really?
Yeah, I'll
tell you what.
39. He looks young, right?
Yeah.
For a guy heading into free agency. He's 28, though.
Willie Calhoun pinch hitting, and everybody meeting between second and third base. That one handled. Guzman like, well, I don't know. I was trying, but a lot of traffic. Anyway, 2 away.
I might show up in Kangaroo Court. We'll see here for Ronald Guzman, but high chopper and then a little bit of a stumble. And I think Ronald Guzman was trying to avoid any kind of, he seemed kind of put on the brakes, and then listen, you already have a helmet, no sense in putting your hands over your head. Hurt your hand doing that. But no harm, no foul.
He made it to third just fine. But Calhoun grounded out, and now here is Rougned Odor, who's doubled it tonight, scored a run. Rugi named the American League Player of the Week before the ball game today, so great to see that back coming around a little bit. We talked yesterday about how the defense has been really good for him. But Familia, by the way, yesterday he arrived in Oakland, I think, at 11:30. Got in the game, had to pitch 2 innings in relief because the way things went down. The Giants coming back and forcing the issue a little bit. Ended up getting the win, but then, of course, got on a plane, flew here to Texas. So a bit of a whirlwind for Familia. And yesterday, pitching in front of 56,000 fans in Oakland, they did figure that situation out, by the way.
Oh, what do you got?
Well, of course, it was the.
That was yesterday?
Yeah.
It was?
Or 2 days ago.
Okay, yeah.
2 days ago. Bay Bridge Series. So they're playing the Giants, and they were honoring the 1989 World Series team that beat San Francisco. So had $10 seats out in Mount Davis, and they filled it up. Well, pop up third base, and Chapman takes care of it. The inning is done. The Rangers get a run back, but they leave a man at third, and they trail by 10 as we go to the 8th inning. Rangers and Orioles 7:05 game. First 15,000 fans get an Eric Nadel 40th anniversary microphone courtesy of Dr. Pepper and Kroger. Tickets are available at TexasRangers.com or by calling 972 Rangers. 40 years. Behind the microphone here, the Hall of Famer Eric Nadel. So yeah, a fitting celebration and tribute. 8th inning. Chris Davis will lead things off for the A's. Davis, a cleanup man, and Matt Olson and Stephen Piscotty.
So this should be a good matchup, actually. Now, normally you would think Alex Claudio, sidearm reliever against a good power hitting righty, that it might not work in his favor. But I'm very curious to see it. We saw a first pitch breaking ball there. Will Alex throw that changeup in the fastball and be able to keep them away from Chris Davis like that right there, even though it came back a little bit, but keeping him off balance. I think that's why you see the lower batting average for him against lefties, even though overall he's having a pretty nice year.
Good day at the plate for Davis. 2-1 the count. So a lot of changes here. Ryan Rua, you can see way over the right of your screen, has moved from left to right field. Calhoun has slipped into left field. Profar slides over to shortstop, and that opened up a spot for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at third. And a swing and a miss evens things at 2-2 on Davis. Claudio came in last and didn't get the final out, and now runs the count full here. Claudio, one of those guys we were talking about scouting reports earlier, where, you know, all the typical measurables will not give you any real big hope that he would be an overpowering reliever, but he gets the job done, generally speaking. Not on that one. Davis, what do you know, a home run against the Rangers on a full count pitch. His 24th of the season. So it's 14-3 Oakland.
Let's take a look at this pitch here. As we kind of mentioned the matchups, you see the glove and what Robinson Trinos wanted. Now, Alex Claudio knew that he couldn't necessarily shoot for the corner, and so he brought that two-seam fastball over the middle, and he knew it right away. You saw it in his reaction as this ball goes a projected 413 feet. There's a fine line there. You got a full count. You certainly don't want to walk him in a game like this, and there's some danger in throwing that man a fastball for a strike.
Ooh, a little bit in. So 1-1 on Matt Olson. It was a 5-run second inning. The A's posted 2 runs in the 5th, but then a 6-run 7th inning. Well, they've come out slugging tonight. 14 runs on 16 hits. Two balls and a strike. They've had 10 extra base hits tonight.
They have been slugging. We highlighted Stephen Piscotty. We've talked a lot about what they have done since June 16th. Best record in Major League Baseball. And you look, and there's not one guy that's been absolutely crushing it. You think, oh, there'll be the one guy that's hitting like 350 over that time. It really didn't exist. I mean, it's kind of been spread out, but there's been some power in the group. There's been a lot of extra base hits. They've been scoring runs, obviously, has been a big part of what they've done over this time. And that's a good sign too, right? When you don't necessarily have one or two guys that are carrying you, but you're in a spot where you have a couple of different hitters that are contributing, actually more than just a couple, up and down the line.
This ball hit hard but foul. So Olson stays alive. Matt Olson, the other side of the infield from Chapman, young first baseman, who has given them a lot of hope, and he smacks this one up the middle, his second hit of the night.
It's time for Built for Baseball, which is brought to you by T-Mobile. We'll take you back to Stephen Piscotty, who has had himself a pretty good night here against the Rangers, but the big home run that he hit, that was back in the 5th inning, and then an RBI double down the right field line. That one was in the 7th inning. Stephen Piscotty, saw him really struggle against the Rangers early on, but swinging, I say early on, earlier this season, swinging a good bat tonight.
And he has been a very different player lately for Oakland. He takes a strike. Of course, he struggled at the end of his run with the Cardinals. St. Louis traded him to Oakland in part to help him be closer to his ailing mother. His parents living in the East Bay, and Piscotty was staying at home with his family, and his mom, Gretchen, who was diagnosed with ALS last year, passed away in early May this year. And it was a lot of strain on him personally, and I think he would acknowledge that it made it difficult for him professionally. Her passing didn't make it any easier, but I think in some ways, maybe now as he moves on to that next chapter in his life, he's been able to focus more of his energies lately back on baseball, and he has certainly played very well lately, at least at the plate. And today, another good example, a 2 for 4 night, a couple of extra base hits, the 2-run homer and the RBI double. Claudio catches a corner, and it's a full count. Claudio, of course, one of the things that has helped him over the years is his ability to get ground balls and get double plays, and he could use one here. That goes without saying. Well, that one is low, so he walks Piscotty. And Piscotty, after the passing of his mom, Gretchen. He came back eventually to play for Oakland at home. Got applause, of course, from the players on the field. Very emotional moment for him as the fans cheered him on. And a hard hit ball, base hit. And there were a lot of emotions that day for Piscotty. That was less than a week after his mom had passed, May 8th. And he went right back to work.
Talk a lot about how athletes are pretty good at kind of compartmentalizing, putting things aside when they're in between the lines. But that's obviously a much more difficult thing to do when you look at Stephen Piscotty's story. And the fact that he's been able to perform the way that he has, and even in that game in particular, is incredibly impressive. And it's really nice to see the support that he had gotten. Not surprising from not just his own teammates, but opposing teams and opposing players around the league. It's a pretty special story, and everybody certainly feels for Stephen Piscotty. He's done an excellent job here as his career continues, and has swung a great bat for the ace.
Chapman lines this one the other way into right field. Now they're going to wave Olson from second base, and he scores. RBI single by Chapman. And in an 11-run game in the 8th inning, they sent Olson. A little surprised by that.
A little bit. You know, it's two different ways to look at this, and I agree with you. Under normal circumstances, you're absolutely sending him, right? If the game is even remotely close, as you see Matt Williams, the third base coach for the Oakland A's. And here's a good look at the pitch. Two-seam fastball from Alex Claudio. The other part of it, though, is probably fair to some degree, is look at a guy like Matt Chapman. So, you know what? Did he earn that RBI? You know, does it matter? Should you allow him to have it? Do you give up and kind of wave the white flag a little bit, or, you know, show some sympathy for the Rangers because they're struggling right now? You know, I will tell you that if I'm wearing the Ranger uniform, it probably bothers me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like try to sit here and you be objective. You can kind of see it a little bit. And it may be, listen, it could be whatever Matt Williams saw, and I don't think we necessarily saw anything from Ryan Rua. But if he felt like he was a little flat-footed or anything like that, and he said, well, you know, yeah, normally I would, but if you're not going to give your best effort, I'm not saying that's what happened.
Right.
But, you know, he may have saw something because he was looking. He was watching Rua the entire time, and it was somewhat of a late call. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or if Matt Williams just sees things differently than some people might. But I think there's an argument to be made on both sides of it. And I can see where Rangers would be frustrated, and I can see where A's would say, I got a base hit, you know, I'll get an RBI in that spot. I'd like to have it.
It depends a little bit, I suppose, on what unwritten book you're reading.
Yeah.
3-1 the count here, and well, Carlos Tocci warming up in the Rangers bullpen, so it is one of those position player nights. Certainly has that feel. 15-3. And Tocci may be the next man up here. And Banny addressed this the other day, the same issue, after that 16-3 game against Cleveland on Saturday. The questions came up on Sunday. Well, did you give any consideration at some point, maybe a position player in that one? Of course, he says, well, that's, you know, you discuss all your options in these situations. He said, but you know, I don't really love doing that.
Sure.
I don't think any manager does.
These guys are ultra competitive. It's not just the players, it's the coaching staff as well. All the time that they put in. Now, you want to protect your players. That's certainly a priority. But then there's the pride factor that comes in, understandably so, when you put a position player on the mound. And it can be tough.
Payoff pitch. This one grounded to shortstop. Profar goes to second. Odor's turn. Not in time. So Canna beat it out. And now 33 pitches into the ninth. That'll be all for Alex Claudio. Jeff Bannister signals. Position player pitching. Carlos Tocci coming on here for the Rangers. Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. By Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Shiner's Sea Salt and Lime Summer Lager. A beautiful scene outside. We come inside here. Carlos Tocci making his first career pitching appearance.
All right, give me your guess right now. Fastball velocity, over under. Actually, I'm going to set the over under at 82.
Okay, I'm going to have him 91.
No, you have to take the over or the under.
Oh, I'll take the over.
You're taking it over.
What'd you set it at?
It's 82.5 actually.
Yeah, well, taking the over.
All right. First one was 80.
How do you know that was a fastball? Maybe he's starting off with a changeup. Lucroy.
Oh boy, you need a half a mile an hour more.
0-2 the count. One away here, men on the corners.
You don't want to throw much harder than this. Right now you're below the hitting speed. 85 to 88, you're asking for trouble. Hitters tell you all the time, too slow is tough to hit. Dang it.
84 miles per hour. And a pop-up out into short center. And Odor drops it. They're going to send the runner Piscotty. The throw to the plate. Got him! A little miscommunication out there, but Odor had it in the glove, it seemed, briefly, and then Rua made the good throw to the plate.
Take a look at what happened here. Here first is the 84-mile-an-hour fastball at the top of the zone. Jonathan Lucroy gets under it. Now you see Rougned, you can see he's calling for it, and he goes after it. He misses it. Good job by Ryan Rua to stay alert and make a strong throw home. Now for Tocci, important for him to understand he's supposed to back up home there. He's standing in the middle of the infield, but probably didn't run through the PFPs with the pitchers this spring training.
Well, it was up and in.
So does that go down? Is that a fielder's choice?
It was a fielder's choice. And a 9-2 putout.
It was hard to tell. I didn't see Delano calling that at all, but we didn't get a good look. We saw Rougned calling it, and he didn't. I don't think he didn't pull up necessarily. Worried about.
That didn't look like it.
I think so. I think I just missed it.
I'm sure you're still, feeling footsteps.
Yeah.
Or hearing them anyway around you when you get to a certain depth. 3-1 now on Simeon. Look here, see if we can get any better sense in the communication. I definitely saw Rougned calling for it. One more time. I didn't see Delano calling there.
Yeah, it's always tough to tell. It's one of those nights, man. Guys dragging a little bit and miscommunication.
This ball well struck out to left field. Calhoun is there. And the inning is done. A's grab 2 more. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning tonight. It's 15-3. 8th inning. And MLB.TV is now available at a lower price. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live with MLB.TV. And your subscription includes MLB At-Bat Premium, which allows you to watch on your favorite supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. Okay, so some changes for Oakland. Wendlekin has come on to pitch here. Let's see what he did Friday night in his appearance against the Giants. Only needed 7 pitches to get the 2 outs. That was his season debut. In fact, he made his big league debut several years ago with Oakland in 2016. And then did not pitch last year because of Tommy John surgery, recovering from the common pitching ailment. So now in his 2nd game of the 2018 season, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa leads things off here. Takes ball 1. His first at bat of the day. One ball, 1 strike. Nick Martini is coming to play left field, and Chad Pinder moves over to right for Oakland.
You were just talking about great names.
Like Martini?
You said Ponce de Leon.
Yeah.
Pretty good one. Martini will give him a run for his money.
Martini in there, I believe that changed straight up. No? Is this mic on? He set up the middle. So Kiner-Falefa's first at bat of the night, and he has a base hit. Well, Rangers have made some contact tonight. They have just the 3 runs to show for it.
Breaking ball, curveball stayed up in the zone. It's been a lot of fun to watch Isaiah Kiner-Falefa this year, and really important. I think something. Listen, this game obviously is a tough one, but for Jeff Bannister, for guys like Kiner-Falefa, guys that are coming in a little bit later, you don't want to give at bats away. It's very easy mentally to kind of check out of the game like this when you're trailing by 12 in the 8th inning. Those are those little things you can do in tough spots like this.
So Beltre takes a strike and then has a look for Kerwin Danley. 8 hits today for the Rangers. None of them yet by Beltre, who was struck out, grounded out, and flied out. Wendlekin. I'm not quite sure what to make of that name. That's a great name too. It's ahead here 0-2. Kind of sounds like a little area in an amusement park or something. Wendlekin. Breaking ball. Bouncer left side of the infield. Good charge and play by Chapman. And he gets Beltre for out number 1.
This guy's a good defender, and he's shown it off here tonight. We've seen him make that great play when he had to go to his right. Now he comes charging into his left, and good exchange on the run. And a strong throw. Fun to watch him play defense. You don't say that too often. I like watching this guy play defense, right. But Adrian Beltre certainly is one of those guys at third base, and Manny Machado was last year. Nolan Arenado, Matt Chapman. He's really made a name for himself as far as what he's done defensively. The rest of the league certainly has noticed.
Well, with 1 out, Kiner-Falefa is at second now for Profar. And he hits this one out into short left field. Handled by Martini. 2 away. Sunday, August 5th, Rangers and Orioles. Afternoon game starts at 2 o'clock. First 15,000 fans are going to get a Ted Williams First Rangers manager bobblehead, courtesy of Sweet Baby Ray's. Tickets at TexasRangers.com or at 972 Rangers.
I saw what is, I believe, to be the biggest bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's.
Yeah.
The other day in a parking lot. If there's some kind of barbecue deal going on or something in the area, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't filled with barbecue sauce because it was so ridiculously big. 8 to 10 feet.
Oh.
Oh yeah. It was really, really big.
Was it hooked up to?
It's on the back of a truck.
Yeah.
Right on that pickup truck. It looked fun.
Will fouls one away, 1-1. Now, do you have a go-to condiment in your?
Chick-fil-A sauce.
Oh, really?
It's the greatest condiment known to man. You can put it on anything.
Anything?
I don't even know why they offer other sauces there. Like, if you know somebody that orders the Polynesian, don't talk to that person ever again.
Off the list.
They can't be trusted.
Okay. But don't they have like a buffalo sauce there too?
I wouldn't know.
Oh. So you're the guy who won't try new things?
No, it's not true. I just like to be consistent. When something's great, why would you? You know what I mean?
Well, because something might be better.
No chance. Impossible. It's got that liquid smoke in there. I know they don't actually smoke it, but it's a way you can cheat in barbecue. I've done that before.
Sure.
If you use the slow roaster maybe to make your pulled pork sandwiches, put a little liquid smoke in there and it tastes like you actually smoked it. I think that's in that sauce.
You think it is. You don't know the secret.
No, it's not a secret. The ingredients are on there.
What?
It's not
They don't give you the
Kentucky Fried
recipe.
Chicken.
Does it say liquid smoke on there?
I don't know. I've never looked. You know how small the writing is?
Well, you just. Frustrating.
I use like the font's like size 2. What do you got for your favorite condiment? What do you like to put on your cabbage burger?
Nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, cabbage burger, you can't mess
It's like
with
a
that.
great steak. You don't put
That's
A1
right.
on it.
You don't put A1 on a steak. It's not a very good steak if you're putting A1 on it. So you don't put anything on my cabbage burger. I like it. I like it plain.
Are you like a light mayonnaise guy?
I'm not a big mayonnaise fella. Really on just about anything. 2-2 pitch on the corner. Rua strikes out and the inning is done. So we will go to the ninth. Tochi heading out. Looks like a little more work on the mound for the center fielder. 15-3 our score. So you say, well, who would pitch then? Who's shown some arm strength? Ryan Rua.
He's earned this. He's gotten up in the bullpen before and has not gotten in the game. So he's been through that adrenaline rush before. It's a tough thing to do as a relief pitcher, get up and not get in the game. But Ryan Rue has already shown off his arm today. A couple assists in the outfield, had a little bit of a bobble, but a nice recovery and good awareness to get that ball into second base in time. And then a little play here that Rougned Odor unable to hold on to the ball after he flatted a little bit with Delano to Shields, but Ryan Rue right there to kind of clean it all up and make a nice strong throw home, and a good job by Robinson Chirinos to get that down. And it's 1 pitch, 1 out. Before we show it, what do you think? I'm going to go 84.5 is the over-under on the velocity.
Boy, that's tough, but I will go over.
Ryan Rue's got a pretty good arm. See how it translates here on the mound. I felt a little bad for StatCast. I never thought I'd say that before. They were having a hard time classifying Carlos Tocci's pitches. They had him only throwing a curveball and a changeup. No heaters, according to StatCast. 7 changeups and 2 curveballs. Oh my!
Looks like the Oilers win again.
And that's, I gotta believe, a little bit. Listen, I don't want to say point of pride. That might be too strong. But for Ryan Rue right now, he's just touched 89. Bartolo's like, wait a minute. And then, of course, he already blew away Carlos Tocci in the velocity challenge today.
He's also pretty efficient. Got a 1 pitch out with Pinder. Now has Barreto at 1 and 2. Boy, it has been like the week of position players pitching. Milwaukee yesterday, Hernan Perez and Eric Kratz for the Brewers. Cubs today have used 2 or 3 position players. I saw Rizzo was in the game for the Cubs. There's a swing and a miss. Strike 3, and Barreto strikes out.
Pull the string. 76 miles an hour. You're geared up for 91. We talk about pitch tunneling all the time, trying to make everything look the same. Same exact location. Sure, Robinson Chirinos might have been set up down and away, but Ryan Rue knew what he wanted to do, which was to elevate. And it looked like a 4-seam fastball grip, but somehow he was able to take 15 miles an hour off that pitch.
He comes back with the heat.
Now he's going to have to crank it up a little bit if he wants to get past Bartolo, who is maxed out at 93.9 this year. We've seen 91. He's got any more?
Ground ball, third base. Playable for Kiner Falefa. 1, 2, 3 for Ryan Rue. Where have you been all my life? We go to the bottom of the 9th inning now. Rangers will try and keep his comeback going, down by 12.
1. The red-hot A's continue with their scorching ways. Dana Larson along with Mike Bassick and Tom Grieve, and we will have the post-game show coming up right after the game. Tom, what's on your rundown?
Well, Dana, I'm going to follow up on our conversation in the pregame show about some of the A's hitters and talk about the middle of the lineup, particularly Chris Davis.
Well, the Angels have Ohtani. We got Tochi and Rua, so take that. We got 2 of them, L.A.
Yeah, you don't usually want to see the position players in on the mound at the end of the game, but it does give us a pretty entertaining storyline for the post-game show, and I've got Rua for MVP of this game for the Rangers. We will discuss that and so much more. See you in just a little bit, guys.
That sounds good. Dana Rua looked excellent out there. Now Chirinos on the first pitch, bouncer third base. Chapman throws him out. 1 away here in the 9th inning.
First baseman,
So another new pitcher in the game for Oakland. And ready to get some other dudes in there is Hatcher, Chris Hatcher. Will pitch an inning tonight in a 15-3 game.
So you never see it this way, but do you think there would ever be that temptation for a manager? Obviously, we just saw Carlos Tochi and Ryan Rua because you're down by 12. What about if you're up by 12 and your bullpen's a little thin?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. What's the difference? I mean, obviously, you don't want to let a team back in,
Yeah.
but
do you take that chance? It's okay. You can give up to 5 runs, and then we'll go out and get a real pitcher. Not a bad idea if your bullpen's thin. You're having that day. But it's, I guess you just don't want to be the guy, the manager, who makes that decision and gets caught doing that. Because then if the rest of your bullpen falls apart, then you're going to get blamed for it. But the reality is it shouldn't matter. You should be able to bring in a guy to protect a 7-run lead at that point or whatever it may be.
I think we've seen more position players than ever before already appear in games this year in Major League Baseball. And that number going up a little more tonight, both with what the Cubs are doing, what the Rangers are doing tonight. And you wonder if, you know, that swing man role that we've talked about in bullpens, long man who can maybe make the spot start, eat up some innings in relief, that kind of thing. I wonder if maybe there is a position player, utility slash, you know, innings eater role that might one day emerge as well as a little flair. Handled out near shortstop, 2 away.
I mean, there's your backup bullpen right there. Carlos Tochi, Joey Gallo. We've talked a lot about his pitching exploits as an amateur. I think, you know, Ryan Rua, what was impressive, not just the velocity, change of speeds, location, but the thing that really stuck out was the composure. You know, sometimes you get your position players out there and like to have a little fun, some laughs. He was straight-faced that entire time. He was on a mission, and safe to say, mission accomplished.
The Shields with 2 outs here in the 9th inning, takes 1 low. Hatcher's 1-0 pitch, and that one's off the plate.
So as a player, a lot of times you'll save mementos from throughout your career. There was a guy that I met years ago who made these huge box scores, huge ones, like poster size. And he asked me, hey, you know, special moment in your career, special game. I said, oh, you know, first win was kind of cool. And he sent me a poster size box score. And then it was a little big and had some smaller versions made. You do that if you're Carlos Tochi or Ryan Rua tonight?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
You pitched in a big league game.
Yeah.
And you pitched well.
I think you do it for a big offensive night.
Oh.
Well, that one will wrap it up. 15-3, the final score here tonight. Counts as 1 loss as Oakland continues their roll, 24-7 over their last 31 games. So Dana Larson, Tom Grieve, and Mike Bassick, it's all yours. All the player reaction and analysis of this one. For CJ Nikowski, Emily Jones, and our entire crew, I'm Dave Raymond, inviting you to stay with us. Plenty more to come right after this.